only someone watching. Anyway.
Hi, and welcome to another amazing episode of Super Deep. The super deepiest.
It's the deepest.
It's the deepest.
Super deep.
We go deep.
We go deep, baby.
Yeah.
Baby.
Hashtag we go deep.
We're in the danger zone, apparently.
I think the Salt Marsh campaign should be called Super Wet.
Whoa.
Super moist.
Super damp.
Moist.
Super damp.
No, it'd have to be. It's gonna have to be a pun on Salt Marsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. It will have to be.
And then I can think of fart jokes, so it can't be that.
Off the top
No,
of my head,
well,
that's all I got.
Salty marsh.
we're gonna go a different direction with that, I'm sure. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Super Deep, episode 21. Last episode, a lot of fun stuff happened. But let's just cut to it. We have a decision at hand. Basically, as it the Lich. He's the Lich. He in an action both helpful and confusing, stepped through a portal in the Shadowfell when you guys were there, and not only kind of guided you back, but I also think you forgot that he quite literally helped recoalesce Minerva. So, as it specifically saved Minerva, that's a plot point. That was something I don't know if I made that clear enough.
I saw that.
He used his magic, and you had already defeated the creature. You needed to destroy it in order to break up its essence, but she needed to use a wish spell to specifically, and it was a whole thing. But also, as it saw the opportunity to come in and help you stay alive. See? It's all relevant and educational. And in doing so, it was like, hey, I'll help you guys defeat Hallister if you get that little phylactery that you stole from me back. Being awfully chill right now.
Super chill.
And we play a lot over, this is to the audience, we play a lot over the phone too. We play in our messenger group.
We just talk for hours.
But
Just gabbing.
this is actually a good tip. If you're playing D&D and you're not you don't have everybody on an app where you can just chat with them about the game, you're not playing it right, in my opinion, because that's anytime we're engaging each other, we're playing the game. So it's more fun, and you can do a lot of planning and stuff. It keeps everybody flexible and in the know, so everyone's remembers what we're talking about. It's a nice way that we don't just at the each week what did we do last week? Okay. So as it's I'll help you. I'm gonna need you to get that phylactery back. When you gave the phylactery to the brass dragon, Cain is his name. We should just been using his name the whole time. That's why they have names.
Oh yeah, they have names.
Yeah.
That's why I was so weird about Isaac's.
Cain,
Erickson.
the brass dragon, the keeper of the brass bank of Waterdeep, was like, hey, you can have this back, but I'll need something of great import. I'll need an item that's more valuable. And basically, off the top of his head, asked for the dragon's staff of Algaron, which is this magical relic that is specifically special to dragons. Dragons really like it. He said something about specifically about how he wished to be able to walk amongst Waterdeep and converse with the people again. And I feel like you guys are at enough level that you've been all about the dragon staff's properties.
It's a dragon of the people.
And that, and it's like that giant statue of the wizard in the one that your statue was the mirror of in the real Waterdeep is that of a wizard with this giant staff. It is something that maybe you'd even know about just from common folklore. But it was forged after the treaty of the first people and the dragons, because the first version of Waterdeep was a dragon city, very ancient dragon city. So, and that has put you guys in a conundrum of how you're going to get that. That phylactery back for old boy. And I was letting them know that basically in the metagame that if they have the help of the Lich, the last fight, whenever they do end up fighting Hallister, if they end up choosing to fight Hallister, it will mechanically change it from much more of an unstructured puzzle battle of them having to figure out a bunch of stuff, as its help will make it much more straightforward fighting the wizard kind of fight. So
Very cool.
So that's yours. The floor is yours. You guys are still in the runestone. the Runestone Castle, we'll call it. That sounds nice. It's the Runestone Manor. You have more or less full run of it now. We'll say you've been there maybe 2 days, so you guys can have full HP and all your stuff back. Having been there for just a few days, that's the way we're gonna storyline and explain you finally reaching 20th level. Being inside the Runestone and having spent just a few hours here at your peak of your of your bestness allowed you to tap into whatever your final class ability was. So why don't we go around the table and have a fun roleplay moment?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about your class ability and how it manifests for the first time during your downtime here at the manor. Who wants to go first?
What?
What's your 20th level ability?
My 20th level ability is named Stroke of Luck. I am a rogue. For rogues, the 20th level ability is a class ability, not a subclass ability. I think that's different.
It just depends.
At 20th level, I have the uncanny knack of succeeding when I need to. If my attack misses a target within range, I can turn the miss into a hit. Alternatively, if you fail an ability check, you can treat the d20 roll as a 20.
That's very cool.
So
How many times can you do that?
once.
Once a day?
Yep, once a rest. Once per rest, long or short.
Okay.
Cool. Honestly, guys, Dell uses a lot of his free time to practice and, practice his athleticism, practice his sleight of hand skills, his sneakiness. And so
Sounds real annoying.
it's
It sounds
probably pretty
sounds like
annoying.
not a good
They're
friend.
doing reps in the corner.
So in a moment of failure, he succeeded on a stealth check, and I won't tell you guys what he saw, but he saw you. You know what he saw.
I saw as its naked butt.
His booty.
What are you doing in here?
I gave him a
Nice.
little pancake slap.
And then ran away.
Right on
And
the butt.
I did. That was my stealth check after.
No, I actually, if you
can
snuck,
retro.
you snuck into you using your this place is full of little magical things, and Sayla had said something offhandedly earlier that day about there being a hidden door. You're like, there's a door over there.
Yes, okay, hold
Kind
on.
of-
Everyone, Odak wants to know. Everyone to know there's a door
You
right
wouldn't- You
here.
wouldn't yell it because you don't. You wouldn't. You're in Ez's house.
Oh,
so
sorry.
it's one of his hidden doors. So it's more of a
Oh.
comment you made as an
Oh.
aside to your friend,
Yeah,
kind of
it's like-
offhandedly.
He won't shut up. He won't shut up.
There's a
tell
door.
you.
There's a
Tell
door
you.
over there.
I do
There's a
the
door
opposite of
over
I
there.
saw
I'm
the door.
telling him right now.
And after they say that Odak's like, oh, he's gonna go look at that now. You shouldn't have told him that.
Then why'd you tell me to tell him that?
Well, I don't know.
That doesn't make sense. You see, that's what
This
we talk
big
about
eye
when
that
we're
moves
talking about being
around.
contradictory. We've talked about it before. Are you listening?
The door.
Well, you found a secret chamber of Ezets, and you were able to pass
Found some
by, passing with your stealth that you thought you failed the door.
So I saw him in there.
And when you got inside, you found a golem that was like a training dummy,
Oh, man.
and you started just doing your
Yeah.
thing, and the magic was made so it's supposed to best you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
using your ability to use magic device and all these other rogue things, you're able to figure out how you're like, no, I can almost always figure out
How to
a
win.
better way.
Yeah.
And you break it, and you dust off your hands, no big deal, and you're like, yeah, I'll never know. And you go back upstairs. That's cool.
Good story. Have a hero point.
No, you have your point.
No,
Halleck, what's your 20th level ability?
Let's see.
20 attack.
Yeah.
You get 20 attack.
100 attack.
100 attack.
100 attacko.
I think yours is a subclass.
I don't have one for my subclass.
Yeah, I think the fighter ones all end at 17th.
Yeah, I don't think I get 18
18th.
because on.
What does it say on your chart?
Let's see.
Oh, that's when he gets his extra attack.
Yeah.
Oh, you get an extra attack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now you
That's
attack.
it.
Yeah, you have
Now
4
you get
attacks.
4 attacks
Yeah,
per
yeah,
turn.
yeah.
That's dope.
Keystone ability.
Oh, yeah.
It's
For the
insane.
high attack.
Yeah, why does
It's
it not
insane.
have that?
That's weird.
Because it's under the extra
extra
attack
attack.
feature, so they would be at level 20.
It's,
This goes up to
it's
4.
it's like over here. In the
It
very
says
first
extra
page.
attack 3.
Yeah.
So you do 4 attacks now in your attack action.
Take 1
One
and then
plus
3
the
extra.
3 extra ones.
So if you
That's
action
good.
surge, you can do You can do 8.
Well, he has 2 action surge, right?
He does.
I do.
He can
So
only
you-
action surge once per
Oh,
turn.
okay, yeah.
It's a bonus action, I believe.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. I think that yours is probably a little more like straightforward. I think that in the beginning of this truce, your eye kind of burning every time you look at as it like this is a deal that you're not happy with.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
he's personally.
he is a horrible abomination, and you're turning into a planetar. So now you're absorbing like those biases that your father had that were his callings. Like angels don't take on oaths; they just like become a way. They're very like Greek in the sense that like their personality traits are the things they do,
They align more with the form,
and that allows them to get into alignments
Yeah.
in places that like doesn't make sense for like regular creatures.
Yeah.
And he's kind of in the middle of you guys bartering with him, debating with him. He says something very strong about turning him into a living mop if he doesn't shut his tiny trap. And you're like, you shoot like 3 arrows, all 3 of your attacks pinning him on each side, and you're like, you won't threaten my friends if you know it's right with you. And you were able to make that 4th arrow appear for the first time ever, knowing that you're like pushing yourself to, or like you can just knock 3 at a time, and you pulled out another one. But he was about to like do some sort of bullshit, and you were able to get right up in his face and like, no, you don't, not today.
Not today, punk.
That was a metagame argument on our phones.
Yeah,
It was.
and so you got a hero point for being at level 20. What's your 20th?
Oh yeah, this is the big one. It's called Emissary of Redemption. And you become an avatar of peace, and you gain 2 benefits. You have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures, their attacks, spells, and other effects.
What?
Let me say that again. I have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures, their attacks, spells, and other effects. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack, it takes radiant damage equal to half the damage you take from the attack.
Whoa.
Every time?
She said what?
Wait, okay, yes.
You went a step further.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
Said
more.
it
He
back.
said.
Keep going.
Okay.
If you attack a creature, cast a spell on it, or deal damage to it by any other means but this feature, neither benefit works against that creature until you finish a long rest. But if I just stand in the middle of a fight and make monsters hit me,
Yeah, and you just like.
You can deal damage. by
and I
doing
can just heal you guys.
And I guess yourself, because it's only damage that you take.
Mhm.
So, but that's still very cool.
Yeah, you can.
The way I imagine it is that Sayla was, after the thing where you came back, and she's felt kind of distant and weird about everything going on with your sister, and then Halleck's now a fucking angel, and Dell going through his madness, and like she came in, and she has this hammer, and she kind of like feels like she betrayed like her oath again, and so she's like has a moment where she lets go of the hammer, and that's when she becomes level 20, and the hammer,
Nice.
it's just like this flash of light, and when it comes back, the shield is bolted to her arm,
Oh, damn.
and like
Cool.
it's like a part of her now,
Mhm.
Cool.
and it's like she's like level 20
That's awesome.
emissary of peace.
That's very cool.
Meryl kisses her on the forehead.
And she has like a glow now, I imagine, like this, like,
Wonderful.
constant like.
And she just wears like simple robes.
Mhm.
and, like,
Yeah, she's like she kind of like wears a bandana kind of thing. You
That's
know?
very cool.
Yeah.
All right, have
I
your
like
point.
it.
Have it.
Have it.
Dreamweaver.
All right. What's your 20th level?
Well, at some point in the past couple days, Minerva took a short little nappy and had a little extra magic when she woke up.
Oh god.
4 sorcery points. For a short
Great.
rest.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
It's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So you feel those points restore the maximum that was lost, so they can go
Yep.
on top of the points that you had,
Oh my god.
putting you back
Awesome.
up there, because that was just supposed to be more of a thing, like a representational thing than a punishment. That's really cool. Yeah. So you can feel now that your magic is not connected to the Shadowfell anymore. You still are part of it, and you haven't like lost your goth, vibe or whatever. Like you are the shadow magic now, and you actually can feel like inside of you for the first time. You were feeling like as you were fading away, your emotions were kind of draining from you as well. You're becoming more like stoic and like thin, and it's like you weren't yourself. You can feel it, and it's like a flame. It's like a dark flame inside of you, and you can feel the magic and maybe a renewed sense of purpose. You were like, oh, I don't have any way. I can't do anything, and now you know that that's just not true. That was all bullshit. So cool, having your point. What about you? You got your greater spell mastery at level 20. Is that what you said?
It is called signature spells.
Signature spells.
And hold on one second. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I took 2 3rd-level spells that I can
Just don't like you, do they?
that are always prepared
It's
and
unbelievable.
don't require a spell slot to
Yes.
cast. And I can do that once per rest,
Cool.
long or short.
Cool. That's very cool.
Interesting that you gained your magic during sleep. I as well had a dream.
In the dream, I guess, everything was kind of like we were in a
battle with Maven herself, and there were 13 of the patient ones surrounding us. And in the dream, time stopped for a moment and crept by ever so slowly, and I had to watch.
Anyway, I now cast slow anytime I want to. And also counterspell, because that's kind of my thing. And like,
Yeah!
what the hey, so,
That was great. I want to
Yeah.
roll a religion on your dream. I was like, what happened?
Have a hero point. It's very cool.
London.
I'm gonna roll psychology. What's going on?
I'm going to do a psych evaluation. Check.
Ooh, it's bad.
Yikes.
Medicine check.
That sounds about right.
You seem to want to become an undead.
Right. So
Yeah, bro.
having spent a handful of days here at Ezit's Runestone Manor, the cat is his place. He's been surprisingly like, I don't know, something about his demeanor. It makes you feel like better, makes you think better of bad choices in his presence. Like Del, your usual kind of like pluckiness. You might pick the thing up. You might walk about 10 feet with the thing that you want to keep. And then you might walk it back and like set it down and be like, maybe I'll grab it on the way out. You know what I mean? Like, so
I don't need it. Maybe I'll leave it.
maybe I'll yeah. And the same like the same kind of thing with you. Everybody has their own version of that. With you, it's like it's the fact that you need him is so obvious. You know what I mean? For this fight to be like the path for you is clear. You just don't like it. You know?
Yeah.
Same.
And the same all the way around. And maybe I don't know. You probably the Witchy sisters probably are the most comfortable around the undead dude, just because of
Where'd they come from?
weird stuff. Yeah, weird because of weird sisters. But basically, other than seeing like he said, if you want, you can. He says you can come and go from the Runestone Caverns as you'd like. He takes you to that magic circle, and he says you can cast. He basically takes a little bit of chalk and like changes the magic circle, and he says you can cast teleportation circle, which is a spell I'm pretty sure you have
I
access
have
to.
it.
Yeah, teleportation circle. This is a teleportation room for you as well. I mean, he could do the magic circle thing on you with it, but if he wanted to capture you, you could already be captured. But he's saying like you can travel from in and out of the Undermountain to Waterdeep through that without having to travel through the Undermountain itself, depending on your feelings about that. So
Groovy.
remember, we also said you guys can smash cut to each level now that you're level 20, and you just have to hit each one as you go. And so if you did want to go to any of the other places, I know we talked about going to see the Brass Dragon, which we can totally do if that's what you guys want to do to go talk with it. But what's your plan?
Brass Dragon has the phylactery.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would vote for helping Isaac. Talking to the Brass Dragon.
Kane?
Yeah.
Kane, yeah.
Yeah.
I fear that we must use Ezed's help because reality is at stake. But
Agreed.
I think we should do so with caution,
As much as
and I think we should go talk to the dragon. I think that should be the first thing we do.
it also has my vote. I think that it, as much as it is an absolute detriment to nature and everything that nature represents, it is more important that the patient one be yielded
I will
as long.
smite the shit out of him if he steps out of line.
So, is it a dragon?
No, he's talking about.
Just smite the shit out of him.
As it, yeah, and
Spend every one of my spell slots.
yeah, that's fine. As it is just as okay with that plan because it involves him. If you guys murder him in his house, you run the risk of Hallister getting the runestone, making your lives much harder. Also, he'll just reform next to his phylactery, and you sent him right to it. So
I also will
it's
say
a win-win for him, really. Like whatever happens here.
You can destroy Waterdeep.
I think that's how Meryl feels right now. She's like,
This is a win-win for
You're
me.
Yeah, you have a nice bedroom right now, and like
Sure.
you guys been able to take showers,
This is a win-win for me.
I love
actual
good shower.
showers. Like
If
I don't know if your character ever had a shower before, but as it has them, these are
If
fucking.
I ever hope to attain Lichdom,
She always whispers it when she says it.
Lichdom, I have much to learn.
Have you tried? Have you tried asking him? Have you tried interacting with him yet, or do you want to do that, or do you want to wait? Does that mean you want to hold a card you don't want to reveal yet? He can't say
Is he
anything.
right here in this room with us? Or are we just.
You guys,
talking to
we
each
are
other?
in a broad amorphous 2 days. 48. There's a 48 hours before we go off. That
Okay.
you can.
No, not in this conversation.
I have much to learn from Ezet himself.
Oh, I will say I sense no mistruths in him. As far as I can tell, he's not lying. He's been very candid.
You probably hate that too.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. Let's go talk to a dragon.
Let's go.
Will
Go.
you share those
Smash cut.
cookies,
Smash cut.
baby? Smash cut. Swipe cut.
Somebody once told me the.
No.
How are you guys gonna go there? You going to travel through the Undermountain?
I think we run
Here.
teleport it. I don't want to destroy every
Okay.
level of creature. I also don't want to get overrun by like millions of drow or something stupid.
Yeah, I think.
Well, then I need a spellcaster to cast teleportation circle. We spend the magic
How
on
long does that take?
an action or something.
One moment.
Richard
1 minute.
Nixon.
Ooh, 5th level. You're asking quite a lot, my friend.
This is for you too. Miss.
I'm
Takes
so
1
sorry,
minute.
Minerva. We're all just trying to get to the same
My name
place.
is Meryl.
I said madam.
Madam.
Oh, sorry, Meryl. Sorry, you both. Yeah,
Yeah, it
all
takes
the
1
names.
minute.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, you look like
I
an
mean, if you
idiot.
cared.
A
Say
shimmering portal opens in this 10-foot
I do.
of a cylinder.
There wasn't a modifier, right?
What?
There's not a modifier yet.
Me. The idiot modifier? It's a -4.
Heard that. That's the thing about idiot modifiers.
Right.
Well, you think they are something.
Ooh, I was able to prepare another 5th level spell.
That's cool. What'd you pick?
Circle of Power.
What's that?
30-foot aura gives everybody advantage on all saves.
Oh, that's cool.
I pull out this really shimmery, really fine shimmery dust. And I just sprinkle it all around us. I huddle us up. And I sprinkle it all around us so we're in the middle of a circle.
Nice.
And it starts to glow. It's
Yeah.
a big portal.
When the portal activates, it's like you're being pulled up through like a beam of light, rainbow light that pulls you up through the ceiling, and it's like you can feel yourself traveling through the Undermountain. Can't really see anything. It's not a visual thing. It's more of a sense as you're moving, and you find yourselves. Inside of when you come to standing out in open air, it's nighttime. It's probably close to midnight. There's a full blood moon that's in the sky, and you see it very clearly as you're standing on the top of this old tower. It's dilapidated, and the structure in the ceiling have completely been eaten through just by time, or maybe something destroyed it at one point. But you're in this old, you're in the dock ward, and it's this janky old wizard's tower that you're inside of. And you guys can kind of walk down the spiral staircase, still intact.
Blood moon.
And you move out into the city, and it's pretty quiet. With the exception of whistles from the night watch as they kind of make their rounds. Not particularly surprised to see anyone out and about, but also keeping an eye on you as you travel around. Also, you hear, even late at night, on every third or fourth corner, you find one of your sister's minions, one of her besworn, who
Like a cult,
not
basically
cult,
a follower.
a follower,
of them.
and they'll proselytize at you as you come by. They throw pamphlets and throw like gold coins. So as you come by, he tosses coins and he says, the riches of the Undermountain are open to all, and so is all knowledge. Just like saying they don't have like a slogan. It's like this guy's like, I'm woke AF. I know something you don't know. Here, I've got money to throw away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even need money. But he's wearing imagine if Apple designed Buddhist garb. It is the most sterile looking version of something so beautiful and sacred. It's all done in pale grays and whites. There's no color, and there's just the mark of mourning, which is an eye that's Japanese anime happy eye. It's like a sun. It's supposed to be a closed eye that is also a sun crusting over the dawn or whatever. And you can interrogate these people. We can have a scene with them if you guys are interested, or you can ignore them. The ones on the street, you would don't know diddly squat.
Yeah.
They're entry level people, so they're just.
Sailor would have no interest in them.
Yeah. But they would know general things about the organization, and they're easy to find. And during the day, it's probably even worse. There's probably more people and people listening to it. So so you guys can make your way down to. You're in the dock ward already. Down to the boat where there's a small ferry. Remember, you just have this wooden coin that you have to. Oh no, it's a brass coin. Brass coin that you give to this hooded figure that's just a person. They're not creepy, but they're just wearing a hood, and they just stand there, kind of mind their own business, and you just present them the coin, and they put you on the boat, and the boat cuts across the water super quickly, sea foam spraying up on you as it kind of cuts like a knife through the water, like a speedboat, and you can kind of feel the cold night sky. It's cold and it's chilly, and you're kind of rolling up. And as you roll back up to the islands of the Brass Bank, remember there are a series of broken stone that sits on the back of a inert volcano. So it's like this ancient, a volcano, and then built up into it, kind of like a horseshoe. There's a structure that is, or maybe carved from it, that is shaped like a giant dragon, 10 times the size of a normal ancient dragon. It's cartoonishly big. It's like a big building, and you literally coast into it. And this way the structure was presented to you last time. Remember, you just there was a little dock, and the boat goes up. There's steps that lead up out of the water, and then it's maybe 300 feet. It's like a giant warehouse, and at the back of it, with all these like columns that kind of break it up. Not all in like lines; they're kind of offset to kind of obscure vision, but they're set at least 30 feet apart from each other, so they're not super close. And as you get closer to the back, there's light and there's fire torches on the walls, and then the gold, the piles of gold, they reflect the light even more. And as you enter the place this time, roll me a perception.
Oh, can I have my jailed dice back?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ah.
There's no dragon in this room.
Wait.
Huh?
What is the treasure there? Is his treasure hoard?
Yeah, all the treasure's there.
But there's no.
Is he invisible?
Her eyes.
Someone-
I mean, she has the best eyes in this space. So as far as he might be invisible, but you.
Can you see with like true sight?
Don't
Is
you
he
have true
hiding
sight?
from us?
I don't have it anymore.
Not
Yeah.
anymore.
Can I roll an Arcana to see if that's why we can't see him?
There's a spell called See Invisibility.
I don't have see invisibility.
Can I use my blind?
You can't do other things to replicate the effects of spells, though.
Can
I can't
use my-
sense magic.
You can't. You cannot sense a magic thing that has been made invisible.
Okay,
That part of the spell is that it makes it non-detectable.
right. Duh.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
using my blind sense to see if I could
There you go.
sense anyone within 10 feet of me as I walk, and they'll say around this room, gridded out.
Just feel
So you
it
start
for
doing
some-
that. This will take you hours. So
No.
Dylan, what are you doing?
1, 2. He's making
Oh
steps.
my god.
Aren't we trying to make sure no one's in here?
Can we just grab it and go?
Grab what? Ooh,
I would
the
know.
bracers?
Can we find it?
No, Dell, stay focused.
Oh, that's why.
So
Do
basically,
we
in my
see it?
head, you guys are way in the back of this room. Each section of this room is like 100, we'll say 100 feet. So it's a 300-foot long chamber with vaulted 80-foot high ceilings that kind of curve up, and then there's all those pillars every 30 feet. There's maybe 5 pillars. Let's say 300 feet by 6. Let's say by 100 feet. It's a big ass chamber, and it's very like empty. It's very dark on your end, not for you, but it's dark on your end. So much so that my non-dark vision people probably have to pull out a light or a torch. But on the other side, you can see very clearly where the horde is. Everything, in distance, but in pretty good detail. There's no dragon sitting on top of it. And Dale starts kind of pacing back and forth, and it's 100 feet wide. So it's going to take him a minute just to start making his way back and forth, which is not a terrible plan. It's as good as any other plan, and it's
My beholder
super
is
hasty.
here also.
okay. Cool. Is it visible? Did you cast invisibility? Yeah.
No, it's just hanging.
Is there a
Is
pile
it-
of gold big enough for
So
a
you
dragon
cast
to be
invisibility on it?
sleeping
Asked if
inside
it was
of
visible.
Can't we just
Oh,
whistle for
it
this
is
dragon?
visible.
Oi!
Yeah.
Oi, dragon!
Oi!
So, dragon!
Can you walk right onto the pile, or is there a gap? You said.
There is. You guys are just so far back. You haven't walked up towards it yet.
I'm gonna start walking.
Yeah.
up
So
towards it.
you start walking up towards it. Dale, your search reveals nothing as you walk back and forth. If you want to keep up with them.
I'm just walking with them, doing
So
my thing.
after you guys walk about midway, the light starts to fill the space. Make another perception if you want to, or an investigation.
Oh shit.
I will investigate.
18 percepts.
Remember roll higher than 18.
I rolled an 18 investigation.
19 investigation.
So, I mean, everything would indicate that as you look closer that there is a dragon here somewhere.
Is
And
it underneath all of them?
and the
Piles,
pile doesn't look big enough.
Okay.
Although you do at first see like something that is shaped like a giant lizard, but it looks like armor, like a big set of armor for an animal. And that's the other thing you guys notice: magic items out the ass. This cat has so much magic shit. You've never seen a cache of magic items as big as this. If you like purely in intellectual like realm of fun thought, if you guys did fight and kill this thing, you would have. You would have so many things. things. It would be you would have to make choices as to what you attune to on a daily basis.
Guys, what are we doing
Oh,
here?
also,
First of all, there's got to be a curse on this place. He's protecting with magic somehow. Don't grab anything from Dragon's Lair. The dragon's not there, obviously.
It's pretty-
quick question on attunement. Since my 2 weapons fused into one,
You have an extra slot. Yeah.
extra slot, and then also is it just the bonus compound, like the like collective of both of the bonuses, or is it one or the other bonus? Because it was 2 for the Warple and 3 for the.
It's a
defense.
+3.
Okay.
So what are we feeling?
Yeah, I don't.
So wait, what did the perception roll?
anyone
I think
actually rolled?
I got to
Oh
start.
yeah, that 19 investigation. What did that reveal again? That the pile
There
wasn't
was
there?
you see that Kane was here recently. You can tell that like the gold has been moved. Like the body of a dragon pushed it away. Even like a big handprint in some of the gold.
I'm gonna use my ring.
And then I was just saying that you see all of the magic items. Wait, what?
I have an idea. I want to use my ring of forethought. I'm gonna create a ethereal version of myself. It has the same stats as me. They just can't like interact with things. But I want it to go walk up on the gold and see what happens.
Yeah. Walks up on the gold.
And it's like vroom, and we just like other part of me just steps out.
So yeah, it's this specter version of say like kind of walks out, looks back at the group, winks, and then scurries up. Is able to climb up there. No problem. Nothing happens.
Should we wait until you return?
Almost certainly.
I canceled that thing.
What if there's something wrong and he hasn't been here recently?
Oh,
What if a
no.
different dragon has been here recently? Or what if he
What if
hasn't
he's
been here
in
recently?
trouble?
That was 8 months ago.
Yeah.
True.
I say we
should-
grab it and go.
We should all agree if we should just grab it and go. I can use one of mine.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Do it.
So you use one of your auguries. No result.
No answer?
Sometimes it gives you no answer.
I think.
In a dragon's lair,
Yeah.
there's going to be special rules that.
You guys want to maybe ask the ferryman if any whereabouts of the dragon or the interesting thing about the bank.
Sure. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
I'll say this: the fairy person is a different person than it was last time. It was a half elf last time. It was a human this time.
Okay.
Different gender too. You can tell they were very different people. They seem to have only the basic idea of what they're doing there, as if maybe magic was compelling them to believe a certain thing or act a certain way, modify memory or something like that. So they would.
So we would understand that a spell had been.
You would
like
understand
cast
that
on
going to interact with it would probably be pretty fruitless.
Okay.
That there's a certain level of secrecy that you can only obtain with, like, probably those people didn't know that they were there doing that. Like, you might have people wake them up from their sleep in the middle of the night to go act as this fairy. You know what I mean? Like, could be any number of things. But
Did we get anything from Ezat to protect us from against his death phylactery?
I don't know. Get some caramel in
Yeah,
your
you
chin.
Save it for later.
No,
No, we did not.
did not give you anything.
God
But
damn it!
multiple people have mage hand. You can just drop it in my thing. It's fine. Also,
He says, I didn't design it for you to touch it.
He doesn't want to.
You got it the first time. Basically, every time you eat, like, even at its most friendly, it's like, you put yourself in this mess, figure it out.
I'm sorry if you said this, but can we see it? The
See what?
this
The
Yeah.
black. The black.
Phylactery?
phylactery, sorry. Is it here? Can we see
No.
it?
Go ahead and have your. Oh well, yeah. Your.
The 19
Can
investigation.
you communicate with that thing, or
What's
can you
your
just see
sister's
what it
name?
did?
What's your sister's name?
Maven.
I can't. No.
No,
I've
you.
touched it before, right?
No, you've mage handed it before.
Right.
If you
Yeah,
touched it,
it's
it
only
would have.
one
It would have killed you.
You can locate object on it, couldn't you?
Yeah, huh?
Cool. You want to cast locate
I
object?
do.
That's
It's just an action.
That's an answer to your problem. Yeah.
Maven has it. Maven killed the dragon.
Do you not spend a spell slot to
Maven
cast
has
that?
it. Maven
No, I do.
has the dragon.
It's a second level
Okay.
spell.
Well, will you
And
do?
No.
The spell doesn't happen until you
No,
until
we're
you
fighting
erase it
for
off
right
your
now.
sheet.
you are so funny.
Because you won't. Because you have so many spells. If I don't police the
I haven't
spellcasters,
even read it yet. I was just trying to read the card.
you know what the card does. Don't give me that. Don't give me this too.
I wrote down my other one. I
I'm
have
just
no
saying,
reason to be worried.
I'm not accusing you of anything. Is my point. My point is that even if
Please.
I let you skip one,
I can't
incident-
hear you. I'm learning.
I feel like you have policed me very
As long as I've
similarly
seen it up
in
close.
my stuff.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
She's
No, I just-
she's just being funny.
I just close my eyes and wait
That's
for
what
it.
I
I kind of look around like I'm looking in a place with my eyes closed to locate.
It gives you 1,000 feet, right? Yeah, certainly. It's in that big pile of shit.
Just up in that big old pile of shit.
Deep on the bottom.
I could reverse gravity in this room. Wait till
It's not a room, is it?
Huh?
It's not a room, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he flew in. Thought it was a ceiling.
No, you guys came in. When the last
You
time
thought
you
there
came
was
in,
no ceiling?
last time you came in, it was exactly the same. No, it's a big cave.
That's
And-
Sorry, I forgot.
the last time he was just sitting on top of the pile of gold in the back.
Yeah.
I can also reverse gravity.
I'm into
that
reverse
work?
gravity. I don't think Dell can do anything to help get
I
this
summon.
thing.
You'll
That's
have
a
to
clever-
run in there and get it.
I
Why
summoned my
would we
Perryton, so I can fly around.
I can find him, but it'll be an attack because I have a seek arrow and it's divination, and I can literally shoot. But I have to
I know
shoot.
who you need
It doesn't
to
do a lot
find.
of damage, but I can shoot him.
True.
Which that might just
That's
open
funny.
up a can of worms.
That's
I don't know
funny.
how you guys feel about
I know
that.
who you need to find.
You want to cast reverse gravity? I like that idea. That's fun.
Do you guys want to? 'Cause we
Hell
need to
yeah! Come
grab-
on! What
grab
the
onto
fuck?
Yeah.
With all the
I can fly. I'm just gonna
all the
fly.
shit we've been into.
Okay.
Well, it will reverse gravity for everything. You
No,
will.
but I'll just
Listen,
like,
quick
you all
side
fall.
metagame.
I'll
You think-
fall, but also
Even if we
still
do
be
fight this
able to
dragon,
fly.
it's probably the only thing we're gonna do tonight. So I think we should
Oh, you
just
you
have
have
fun
fly.
with it.
I'm sorry.
Reverse some gravity. I summoned my Perryton. You want to hop on? Come on,
Yeah,
let's do this.
He can fly.
I'd love to.
Oh, yeah,
ride
you can
it.
fly. You man. You
I'm
can fly
gonna
too.
go, I'm gonna
Everybody
go
can fly.
wrap
Just
part of
like
my
what?
skirt.
We're level 20.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna go wrap part of my skirt around a pillar.
Yeah.
Say
Put
this.
myself tied.
That's how Sayla's acting too. She's just climbing on the Perryton. It's like, fine, just do it. I don't even care
I don't
anymore.
care.
Yes,
It's like,
yes,
if you're
let's
gonna
see
do it,
what's
just get it
under
over with.
here.
All right.
Is it
Okay.
underneath here?
How
What is it?
big? How big of a space? How big a space is that?
It's a 50-foot radius,
500
so that would be a 100-foot circle and a 100-foot high cylinder.
Okay, cool.
If I cast it, would that make it bigger?
We know where it is. It's within a 50. We can find it in the circle, in that
Okay.
50-foot circle. Cool. I'm like pretty
I
sure.
just wondered if it was big enough to,
Oh.
you know what I mean, get the whole circle
Oh, it's just gonna
or the
flip.
whole horde of.
Yeah, it's just gonna flip gravity, so everything in that is gonna fall. And if it's at the
Yeah,
bottom,
it's
it'll
just
land on
it's
top.
just going to be big enough to literally reverse the area that is holding the horde itself, or the majority of the horde, where she's kind of said that's right there. And yeah, you do that, and as it happens, you guys see the coins start to like fold and like go up to the ceiling, and all the magic items flip. And you definitely see the negative space of a very large dragon as these things are being pulled
Oh,
up,
Oh no.
pulled up and around it.
Oh no.
And as all the pieces go to the top, it kind of shifts like a
Oh, for
chameleon
fuck's sake.
into space. You notice that it has grabbed it hasn't grabbed anything. It's just like sitting there, and it looks up, and then it kind of like its head. Remember, its head is as big as this table. So
Sure.
its head like comes down, and you guys are still. How far away can you cast that?
100 feet.
100 feet. So we'll say we'll give you a nice 100 feet. Remember, it's 300 feet. So it's still very far away from you, but it can speak into your mind at this range. And basically, it's like I was, I'm so happy you stopped by. I'm sorry you caught me while I was sleeping.
Heavy sleeper.
Yeah, and real heavy sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically says, "Won't you stay?" When you say that, everybody, roll me a perception.
18.
An 18 will automatically let you see that the wall behind you where the dock was is now missing. Or there is now a wall where there was a
great.
trench.
Okay.
So now you
So
are
we're being
trapped.
closed in here.
Now you're trapped in a space with
Well,
this thing.
The writing's on the wall here, guys. So
I can stop time.
There
so
is
I
writing
can
on the wall, and you can read all of it.
Sir Dragon,
we are
no
sorry.
offense was
Yes,
intended.
We just
Certainly.
really need
We were
that.
looking for you.
Yeah, and he's like, yes, of course you were. He says, you keep odd hours because you travel in the dark, deep in the Undermountain, as I recall.
Sure, we didn't even know what time of day it was out here, Sir
Please
Dragon.
forgive us, dragon.
We
Yeah,
came
his
here.
disposition is really sunny.
Yeah, he's fine.
not at all
Chill.
offended. Yeah, and you're like, great dragon. You're like
Yeah.
and then you're
Well,
like,
since you're here, you're up for a conversation.
as you say this, he does. He gets up very slowly. Remember, he's very big, moving through each of the columns. It takes a little bit to move through, and as you see, as he does that, he literally just passes his shoulder, passing through the columns. So like stone melding with them as he passes through
Oh
them.
no.
Because he's a brass dragon, so they have, and in his wake, sand kind of swirls as he walks around. Big. I mean, he's an ancient brass dragon, so he's the highest form of dragon that this dragon can be. He's very, very old, and as he's become more and more old, his scales have become more and more actual brass. He looks almost like a big mechanical creature, partially, like a really cool special effect. Really cool practical special effect. And as he walks closer to you, kind of very softly, like with the pads of its feet kind of moving like a cat, not making a lot of noise, kind of passing through. It says, so what brings you to my home at this hour of rest, my little friends? You know, looking around.
And Alex says, "It is time that we don't have is why we're here at such an unusual hour. We come to reweave it. It is being disheveled."
Roll me a persuasion.
I like that. Get right to the heart of it, you know. From the get go.
I mean,
What one?
I'm using 2 here.
We just pass them out.
Okay. 2 nat 20. Hold on. 23. No, nat 20.
Yeah, and when you say that, he looks at you and kind of snakes up to you, and then just kind of like falls over to the side and is like leaning and looking at you, and is like, "You speak true. I believe you. But when you've lived as long as I have, little angel," it kind of plucks at your wings with one of its massive claws, like a big cat, and you guys are all little mice that have come to talk to it. It's kind of like pawing around, dividing you up, while not really interacting like with you. Its tail is kind of snaking around you, and you guys have all the opportunity to step and like get out of the way, but it's very clearly like showing its space, and it's moving through these pillars as it's doing it. So it's got this like magicalness.
How long is it? The dragon?
It is let's see, he's gargantuan. How big is a gargantuan creature?
I guess the beholder can't be outside this space anymore. Is he bothered by it?
No. The beholder's in there with you. It was moved up.
Okay.
Trying to keep within range of you like it does.
Oh man. Okay. Pass this backwards.
Did he attack it last time?
Yeah.
Because it was invisible.
scared
and
him.
You plopped it into his
It just
vision.
became uninvisible.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to rest quite
This
thoroughly
guy
after that.
is almost 100 feet long. No, he's like 70 feet long. He weighs probably 125 tons. He takes up a 20-foot square on the map because his whole body kind of wraps around this space. And since we're going to be doing it in our minds, it will be interacting with him.
Okay.
And basically, it's like, I remember, yes, and you all talk, and basically, it's just like you're all too hasty. When you've lived as long as I have, you see that world comes to an end every other week. It feels like, and basically, you should try to be more patient. Play the long game. It says I can't give you basically, and then basically is like, unless you brought me a staff, you ain't getting shit. Like, and then with that, kind of stands back up and starts to kind of slowly walk. Now he's walking around you in a circle, kind of figure eighting as he kind of skates through the space, trying to separate you into two smaller groups as he kind of
Dill
walks.
has separated himself completely from everyone.
Cool. You want to roll stealth for me?
No.
Okay. So he can still see if he wants to.
Absolutely.
I can try to talk to him and see if he'll trade my stuff.
It's up to you. I mean, I don't know. I don't think. I think
Don't
he,
trade that. Let me
I
see
don't
if
think
I have
he.
something to
I
trade.
don't think he
real
has
quick.
something. I don't think that's.
I don't think we do.
They're
I don't
valuable
think
enough.
he's gonna want anything.
I
we
think I
have.
might be able to persuade him
Try
with
it.
some of my
Maybe.
stuff.
I mean, you haven't asked him.
You haven't asked him.
I might try.
You're also a compelling.
You guys do have
debater.
high charisma.
You guys have higher
modifiers over
charisma than I do.
You want to specifically say like,
Yeah, I'm just gonna offer this staff instead and like pitch it as a trade
yeah, for
and
sure.
see what he says.
Yeah, you can roll
about that.
persuasion on that.
34.
Yeah,
What?
see, I can't roll a 34. Why am I doing this?
But
So-
I'm
Yeah.
a sorcerer.
He
This
says
is my
you present the
You
staff
do.
and you say I blah blah blah. Start talking about it, like building up its
In like a super
Like-
compelling way.
Mhm.
yeah, just saying like the staff of shadow born in the rune stone on
It's
the
our
on the
favorite
17th
monologue
level
of
of the
the
Undermountain.
episode.
Blah blah blah. It was the tool of so and so. You give like a
Mhm.
and you're kind of playing into this brass dragon's love of talk. You're giving him so many details. Every
He
detail,
likes
every
rhetoric.
every nugget you drop about this item, the more attractive it seems to him. And you can see it on him, so much so that his demeanor kind of stops and he lays back down as you're talking and just listens, yeah. And as you kind of like put the staff up, he kind of like huffs over it with one nose and then says, perhaps, little one. And he looks back to his wall, to his hoard, which, is it still upside down over there? How long does that last? Is that a concentration?
That was just a minute. I feel like a minute's passed.
Yeah, everything's falling back.
Yeah.
Do I see? Where's the phylactery now?
It's gonna be back under that pile
Damn
and
it.
stuff, and you're too far away to use your mage hand on it.
I'm not too far away to use telekinesis though.
You can have attempted to. How far away is telekinesis?
For me, 120 feet. My spell range is doubled.
Know that attempting to grab anything in this dragon's hoard is going to be a very provocative choice.
Right. I was trying as while she was telling a story. I was gonna see if I could sneakily
No,
telekinesis.
it's
it, but I
already
can't
it's
find
already like back underneath the
Okay.
pile. You'd have to do some serious
Miss-
like
yeah.
you could. I know you could use telekinesis to thrust a big chunk of the coins away, but they would
Uh-huh.
definitely like hear that.
it.
So,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you could do that as a reaction
Mhm.
in case things go south. If that's your
Mhm.
plan, you can uncover it with
Ooh.
telekinesis, no problem.
Okay. Just something to think about. Go ahead.
And it looks back at its hoard, and you guys see an object starting to fly closer and closer and closer. And as it gets right up in front of you, its tail, the dragon's tail, wraps around this staff. The staff is made of a purulescent material. It shines and shimmers, and he uses the staff and scans your staff with it. It's obviously some sort of staff of magic. And he says, that is a very beautiful item indeed. He says, if only it possessed more, he says, sentience or some sort of interesting curse. He says, unfortunately, the Lich's staff is not worth the Lich's phylactery. He says, I do have other things that I'd be willing to trade you for it. It's a good-looking staff. You're not wrong. And kind of motions with the staff that he has. Like, this staff's better than that staff.
Yeah.
I have things to trade for my bracers. I may do that. I don't want you to trade your stuff for my stuff.
No, I'm saying you trade something.
Oh, right.
for the
I get it.
bracers.
Yeah, I may do that, but I'm not going to do it right now.
Okay, cool.
What about reality being at stake here,
Yeah.
everyone?
He doesn't.
He doesn't care about that.
Is
Reality
that
is
true?
relative.
Yeah, that's what-
Vale yells from the other side of the room.
He cares.
I'm gonna ask
He says
him about that.
he
Like,
says
does he not care about Halleck's argument?
he
You know,
says I believe your intents are good. He says,
Right.
but my sight doesn't let me see this future you speak of. And you're all like, that's because it pertains to the Undermountain. Like
Right.
you're all like,
You
it's
don't know.
because the Undermountain does this, 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 and this. And he's like, true
Right.
as that may be, I cannot see it. And his eyes kind of gloss over, and you can tell that like he's using magic. This dragon has very specific skills. One of them is like a divination sight that allows him to like locate objects. He's got very things specific to like that help him with being a banker, making investments, and he's got he's alluding to a foresight. Like he's looking into possible futures, and he doesn't see the one that you're speaking of. And you're like, no, it's because the
Because
Undermountain
the
is built.
shielded.
Hallister's hiding it from you. Like it's and he's
in
like.
a bubble of.
It's a
And
tombstone
he's
of
like,
division-
Hallister
divination
Blackcloak has
magic.
been dead for 1,000 years.
He's not. He's alive and well.
I believe that you think you're fighting Hallister Blackcloak, but little one, things are often not as they seem. And as he says that, he shifts into a human form, that of your mother. But she's
My mother.
yes, like walking towards you in like robes with the staff.
Dinah Lackman, everyone.
He's
That's her
playing.
name.
Yeah.
Is Dinah
I know,
Lackman.
Lack.
And
Is this a Yo Mama joke?
he doesn't. He starts to like try to engage you. How do you react to that?
No. And then like, no.
Oh,
no,
and
no.
he's like, oh, forgive me. I scanned your mind. I'd hoped to make myself. And he's still speaking with his like deep, like throaty voice in your mind. He's not even like. He's just like looking. He's like, I'm trying to make myself more appealing to you. And he changes his form again to that of your father in his corrupt
God.
form. Just like getting like all the wrong pictures.
Dreamy.
Yeah. And when after he realizes that he's not hitting the buttons with you guys, turning into Maven next, he's like, "You don't value anyone in your life, do you?" And then he like
But we value time.
switches back to a big dragon. He says, "Which I have plenty of." He says, "I tell you what, I do enjoy." He's like, "I do enjoy this talk about what other items do you have? What other things can you want to trade with me? Like seeing that your interest is fading."
Such a materialist.
He's just, well, like roll an insight.
Give me the stuff.
Can I pass in my beholder?
Take this guy.
Ah!
25
My
insight.
beholder's kind of sad.
He's just trying to like keep you talking. Like
9.
there's just there is no
We can't give him anything.
this.
Right?
Well, no, the dragon gets the time sense. Like like you need this now, but in the short term, all it can think about is like keeping you here and interacting with you and seeing what other secrets it can get from you and like whether it'll help you or not is an issue for later. Right now is a time for talk. And
You like
that's the vibe.
secrets? This shield likes secrets.
And it says, "Oh, the shield." The shield goes, Lost. What are you doing?
I don't know if we have much other choice.
We can't trust a dragon. You got to kill it. Kill that disgusting
That's
bastard."
And she's gonna just ignore.
Yeah,
Just
because
like
that's just a dwarf being
just
a
a
dwarf.
dwarf thing.
Yeah,
That's just like a
dwarf
fucking
being like,
dwarf.
Yeah, no. Sayla's gonna go and hold the shield up and.
and when it takes this staff over to you, and it's like, oh, the heart of the Undermountain. And it crawls forth closer, and it says, Do you speak, little shield? And Odak looks over and says, "Not to you!" And everyone can hear it this time. I can't speak to you, and I want to speak to you.
Hey! Oh God! I'm so sorry.
Has it been like that this entire
yes,
And you
that's-
smell bad.
We've talked about this.
Ah!
Oh my
Its
God.
eyes like
I was like, come on.
Bloodshot.
rally around.
I have no sympathy for you.
I'll take a vow of silence before I spend it. And then the dragon kind of like puts his claws on the shield, and the shield goes silent again. And he's like, I do not blame your friend, but for being so hateful, considering the past between our people. But yeah, I can see that I am not, I'm not a. He's like yelling about a green dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm not a green dragon. So he's like,
Right, so
I
it's
don't, I
not
don't get
his
it.
own-
Like,
yeah.
It has some very unique powers.
yeah, no, she says, he says that
It's a wonderful companion.
that the shield is a fine substitute for
Ooh.
the phylactery. Yeah.
I have to say, I'm surprised.
There is a
by
plan
that.
B.
That would suck.
That's a very fine solution to your problem.
That would suck, though.
It would suck.
It'd be really interesting, though.
Yeah, it would be. That's why it's
It would
it's
be really
compelling.
good.
It's definitely.
Well, the shield is like the source of his power and
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah.
What would happen even?
That would some character stuff would happen. That's what I
Would
was
you
thinking.
roll your eyes at me?
I'm not. You know I'm not.
You roll your eyes at me.
What if he had other company later? Dell yells from the other side of the
What if we?
They're kind of
Owe
unlinked.
you
So
something?
it isn't about getting him company. It's that your compelling arguments. He doesn't he believes your intent, but he doesn't believe the how the level at which you believe the stakes are. He thinks that you guys are compounding things because of your short lifespans.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He can't see He can't see the existential threat
Yeah,
of.
he thinks he has a
of-
different depth of understanding.
Yeah. He thinks you're not
does.
smart, but he wants to talk to you. So it's less like he's like, well, that's not not only that not a big deal, but where you ain't gotta go anywhere. And like so it's kind of like his personality trait is that
Right.
even in making deals, he's not super excited about finishing them.
I have a question that I forgot.
Yeah. Anybody want to stop Sayla from?
She's
Yeah.
like determined now. She's starting to walk forward and be like, just
No!
take it.
Has he ever? I'm gonna ask him if he's heard of the patient one, the dragon.
Yeah. The dragon immediately
Does
starts
the name
naming.
the patient one mean anything to you?
Yeah, he immediately starts listing off the patient ones, like 18 other monikers,
Right.
and is like ghost stories are only work on the young child, and it's just like that thing
But
is.
it is no ghost story, it is real and it is happening right now.
So, to this guy's understanding, the creature that you're worried of it summoning is now the cosmic matter that makes up the abyss. So, it just seems it is an outlandish thing
Right.
in the realm of of magic. What you're saying, and without his confirmation, his ability to confirm them, which he normally is able to, he's like, maybe that's what you've been told, but that's not what's happening because it couldn't. I don't think so. He doesn't believe it.
Okay, I remembered my question. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Has he left this place in the past 24 hours? Augury.
Augury asks you if an action would give you not if a bit of lore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He tells you whether an action would succeed or fail or.
When was the last time you left this place, Kane?
So this afternoon when I had my last dinner.
I like
That's good.
that.
No, that's good.
Tell me about it. Where were you? What were you doing for dinner?
He said he ate a couple of orcas off the coast.
By yourself?
Yeah.
He was by himself?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Says, unfortunately, I spend most of
by
my
yourself?
time by myself, which is why I'm so pleased as punch that you're here. And then he waves his staff, and you see a flicker of magic happen, and then all of a sudden, from the horde, an antique table gets pulled over one by one. Then a coffee pot is being dusted off. There's an unseen servant that's trying to a teapot that's trying to trying to move and very not cool. It's not a big dramatic magic moment. It's this is his one magic trick to impress people. It normally works since he's a dragon. So, yeah. So
Take it.
Has the dragon ever been to the astral plane.
Dragon says, I meditate daily, yes.
Might the dragon be interested in traveling there?
So I can travel whenever I want, just by closing my mind and projecting myself.
Yeah.
Would you like to? I can show you how it works. An 18.
Can I?
What do you got behind your back there? What are you doing?
Sir Dragon, I merely mean to convey to you the importance of what we're doing. That my life is worth so little to me that I might do what you can tell I'm thinking about doing.
It's true he has died a number of times, Kane.
He sees you with the bag of holding, and he sees you reaching for the for whatever else is in your hand, and then you're talking about astral projection. Starts shifting around, and he says, he kind of rears back at you, and he's like, "What is your intention?"
Please, I'm asking you, Dal, stop. Just take the shield. Give us
It's
the
a
phylactery and
compelling
we'll leave.
argument, though, right, Dragon?
No.
That my life is worth so little to me that I would risk
Hold
it
person.
for you.
Are you gonna get on to me if I
can't-
cast hold
I
person?
can't.
No,
No,
I'm
I'm
just.
not gonna-
All right.
I'm not gonna do it. He won't let me do it.
He's reading
guys.
your he's
He won't let
reading
me
your
do it.
mind, and he believes you, but you are not.
I don't even know
You're
how to
only
read
this. You've only been this guy for like a handful of days.
Yeah.
You were like a crazy like.
No, for sure.
Yeah, so he's scanning parts of your. That's what I rolled that for.
No,
He's
for
scanning-
sure.
yeah, he's
But
scanning
he
parts.
knows that I had the magical item, and he knows my intention behind all of that.
Yeah.
Read into all
He,
that,
he,
read
he's,
into
he
all
said
of that.
he says that he believes you, but he doesn't trust your view of reality.
Yeah.
He says that you perceive things
Can
to
he
be a
go to
way.
the Undermountain?
He says, but alas, I cannot travel through Waterdeep.
Yeah.
That's why he needs the stuff.
So it's not that
Does
he
know
doesn't
who
believe
has
you.
this staff?
He says, last I knew that it was in the hands of the stewards of Waterdeep. That was hundreds of years ago. So they purposely don't tell us who has that staff. So it's not like he can just be like,
Yeah.
Could he make a random wisdom save for me?
yeah.
What?
I don't know. Hold on. I don't know how I would make this work, but I want to see if it even will.
What?
I'm going to try to modify his memory. Is that worth a try, even?
Oh.
It is a solution.
I've seen that spell work once,
It's
and it was tough to get there.
It's worked on. It's worked on a.
I knew
It worked
would
on
not
a
actually
storm
do
Worked
it.
on a storm giant
okay,
once.
stop.
I mean,
Stop.
this is the time that you use modified memory. It just is. It. Each of
I
these
was just
things
gonna give
have.
him a glimpse
All,
of
the,
how
well, anything is going to
Give him
be
a
might
glimpse
be
of house there if you
irreparable
can. You're not
ramifications.
You're
so.
not trying to like hurt him. You're trying
Right.
to show him.
Right.
Can you modify his memory with a lie?
That's what I'm kind of
Would
wondering.
you
Can I
modify
give
him?
him? I was thinking I would just give him the random.
If
he
he can
saw
read my thoughts, first of
Hollister.
all, why can't he see all of what I've actually seen? Why can't he see what she's seen?
Because
People
he
that are
can only
trustworthy.
he can only grab because
Like our
he can only grab
thoughts,
he can
not
grab
like all-
he's
everything
taking
we
a
know.
like a it's like your brain is a pool of water. Your thoughts
Yeah,
are a pool of
yeah,
water,
yeah.
and he takes a small ladle and he can sip from it, and he can pull essence
Sure.
of
Yeah,
things.
It takes a bit of a moment.
So
Yeah,
he
yeah.
sees your intention. He
Oh, obviously, I knew he would never. Once I started down.
that's what I'm saying, and he has and he like he still is not like you guys aren't. He doesn't think you're trying to con him. He believes that you believe. Like that's why he chill back out. Like he's like, okay, you're not trying to kill me or steal my stuff, but you're misguided, little one.
Ooh, okay. Here's an idea. If I modify,
You should do it.
if I do this at a higher level, I can modify his memory longer than 24 hours ago, which might be more. I don't know. He
Yeah,
might
you
believe it
can
more.
you can basically rewrite up to this point, up to a day ago, what has happened.
That's fair. 24 hours.
You
would be
could
fine.
rewrite his
I can give him
visions.
10 minutes.
You could rewrite him casting that visions to having seen exactly what you
Right,
said. I mean, you
right.
can modify his memory with
Okay, make your wisdom save. That's what has to
If
happen.
he's good at stuff, he's good at that.
He's good at that.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's the thing that he's gonna be good
I
at.
know. I know. Can anyone impose disadvantage right now?
No.
Okay.
All I can do is make him re-roll stuff, but that's he's got a lot of dice over there. Yeah, it's not gonna matter that much.
What's your spell save?
19.
He sees that you're casting a spell on him. He doesn't know what it is, but his first inclination is to. You caught him kind of off guard.
Yeah.
He rolled really low. He's going to use a legendary resistance.
That's it. That's all that happens.
So this spent spell
probably
slot.
for
I mean, what level is modified memory?
5th.
The 5th level. How many 5th level spell slots you got back? I mean, do you have currently?
2.
It's just these are the kind of things that. Yeah, I mean, like you're gonna have to try it again. You know what I mean? Like it's not a.
But he knew I was doing it.
He saw that you were
Say
casting a
anything?
spell and then like immediately gets up and starts like.
Choo! Oh! Sorry, sir. It's something in my nose in here.
Goes back to talking to you. I actually believe that. Rolled up very very low again. So he's like, oh,
It tricks him.
well then.
I'm unpredictable.
Because the legendary resistance is like it's more of like a story thing than like a creature feature. You know what I mean? Like it's not like every creature has the ability to know it's making saving throws and to like fill it. It's more like in this moment, the thing just doesn't work when you know it should. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's supposed to be like dramatic. So he goes back to talking. Do you want to try it again?
Yeah. If all he did was like look at me and that was it, I'll try it again.
Well, I think we're gonna try it. I'm into it though.
It's fair.
You know,
This is the last time I'll try it.
I'm just like,
He has
what
his.
is he gonna do?
He whips around
gonna have a
with
heart-to-heart
with the staff that he has, and he's going to cast counterspell. He's like, caught you, and like thought you could trick me, and like laughs and like lays down and is like,
sweet boy.
yeah,
I'm so terrified of
yeah,
him.
he gets really close, and he's like, you are a tricky one. He says, yes. I know you hero types. Basically, is still decided that everything you're doing is some sort of like. You guys are just like we're the heroes of the story. We believe it, and he's like those things don't exist.
Right.
You know there are no like you're confusing yourself with fables.
I giggle like you would if you were a
Trade.
baby,
Trade.
and I give up. I give up trying to modify his memory at this moment.
Okay. You try again if you want to.
No, I've used all my 5th level
And
spells
then-
now.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna let's try it. Right.
All right, yeah, for sure.
You doing
And-
it?
I'm into it.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
That's a really fun character.
Yeah,
All
he whips his staff,
'Cause
and,
you know-
and with it the phylactery flies towards you all.
Bolted through my arm.
It is.
Yeah, take the whole thing.
This is gonna be some shit.
You're gonna lose your arms.
Yeah, man. My arm.
Arm.
Let's do it, man.
Takes his
Are you sure about this?
His
You-
talon-
Did you not
Talon.
just try to fight him first?
This is
Before you
fun.
lose all your powers?
Let's see what happens.
Not
I
all
want
the
to see what happens.
Not all his time.
We'll see.
You guys, honestly, I haven't even. All I've done in the last few fights was a couple of cleansing
No,
touches. With
sure.
these
He
two,
taps,
I don't
he
need
Yeah,
to.
there you
taps
go. Give up.
the
Give it
shield,
away.
and when he does, he just says, "Sleep." And out of his mouth, this sandy mist kind of rolls across in a little cloud, and Odak's eye goes. And when he does that, the bolts kind of unravel, and your arm is perfectly healed. There's no pain or anything, and he just falls to the ground. And he grabs the shield and with his tail and kind of starts walking back to his horde. And starts rearranging things like back the way they were. It's all kind of half. It doesn't make sense. It's like an order that he's made. He like puts this thing on top of this thing, like stacking stones. It's kind of like that. He's got all these things stacked on top of each other. And that's it. I mean, if that's all you want to do, if you just want to make a gigantic character-altering choice, and yeah, the dragon's got no problem with it. The dragon says, "Debt paid. If you guys need my services again."
So dragon.
And with that, the wall behind you disappears.
Oh my god.
And the boat's there, and you guys can leave. And yeah, the dragon's open for trading if you guys want to try to trade for some of his extra good gear, or if you want to switch out some stuff.
I just want to find out what those bracers are and ask him what he says.
He says they belong to a drow, some fellow I can't remember the name of now. He was a real edgelord.
Real edge.
He says those are incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Not just to me, but to the heroes of your history. Talking about the heroes who have come before you. I looked up those. I made that up on the fly, and I looked up. Hey, does Drizzt have any bracers? And turns out he does. Turns out they're really powerful. So they don't have a 5th edition equivalent, but yeah. He says, if you have.
I'm gonna offer him my handy haversack made from spider silk from wherever we were in that celestial realm. Like it matters. My bat cloak.
Mm-hmm.
That's from the Dungeon Master's Manual, and the garbs of the barkeep.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, this is just a kid. Just kid wishing.
You got anything else?
Oh, shit. I have...
Give me that fortress and your golden.
Fortress gone.
Really?
I don't know,
Holy
man.
shit.
That fortress is.
I mean, hey man.
I don't think I had a thing for the fortress.
Don't you have that master trap thing too? That big trap?
I do
magic
know
item?
that.
He doesn't want that.
He doesn't want
He
that. I
want
don't
that.
think that even
Yeah,
requires
if you want-
attunement, though.
Didn't even like that. What do you
Those
think
are
about
also items that we had.
No, he'll take that. He'll take it.
I have all my spells
the-
memorized. Can I
with
just give
the-
my spell book?
The fortress...
Your spellbook's the Mad Mage's notes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
If you're
all
not carrying around as its book anymore, which we've declared that you aren't, that you
Right.
that you copied all
Fair.
those spells.
Alright.
They're all just parchment paper that's inside of that
Okay.
big like flying accordion of like paper.
That's fair. If it's Hallister's,
Yeah.
I'll keep it.
Although he's pretty intrigued by your spellbook. That's not. He said he'll take your
I
full
keep
spellbook.
talking about Hallister as he's looking at it because Hallister this and Hallister
Yeah, I
that.
believe that you think that.
I like that. It's fucking dragon!
And he's like, yeah, I know, it's awful.
I
when-
get it, buddy.
When you've been
I
bewildered.
get it, buddy.
Yeah.
You poor thing.
Okay, so you're gonna give me all those things?
Tracy's.
Yeah, give me all those things.
I don't know why I put that one back. This is the only one I actually have a card for. That one's from the...
He doesn't want that.
Oh.
He wants small guy's clothes.
Oh, what does he want then?
He wants all the other things.
The bat cloak, I don't have cards for those, because the bat cloak's from the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I think the fortress is from the Dungeon Master's Guide as
Yeah.
well. That's just rando crap that
No, I
picked
don't
up.
want- no.
He can have all
No, I don't. I just want.
of them. My handy haversack.
Yeah, I want your handy haversack. Is that different than your bag of holding?
It is different.
Okay, yeah.
I have
He wants your handy haversack.
it has like bigger pockets or more space.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, he gives you all the things. He gives you the bracers. The bracers, it's actually a single bracer.
Okay.
And this is the bracers of Drizzt, however you like to say that, however stupidly, Drizzt. When you attune with them and you wear them, every time you take a short rest, you can choose to place it on your arm or on your leg.
Okay.
When you put the bracer on your leg, your speed is doubled. Meaning that your bonus action move is a full. It's not just like another action of your move. So your speed becomes 30 feet, becomes 60 feet, and if you take a dash action as a bonus action, that's another 60 feet.
Okay.
Just become faster. If you put it on your arm, you can make a second attack if you can't already make a second attack.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool.
Let's go.
Good trade. Thank you, sir.
Cool.
All right. Anything else you guys want to do in here before we resolve Salo stuff? We'll just get this clerical stuff out.
No, you're
Did you want anything for this dragon?
I got
Goblin satisfied.
this.
I'm glad you're happy. You got your bracer.
Sorry.
And that doe.
No, it's great.
Cool.
Didn't know.
It's more like I guess it's hard because you can't just like see the things inside his head. Was there something that you wanted? Was there something that you were looking for? Sheila? Yeah, was there like
I like
a
that.
type of item that you were...
I hope that.
No,
I hope
just
we're
because
gonna.
like my items are
That's
weird
fine.
since I don't use any weapons or
See what
armor.
happens here.
There's a few like the war mage wand or something, like wand of the war mage or something like that. It's kind of cool. I think it's considered whatever. You know what I mean? Wondrous.
She has a staff,
close
so
one.
she's already
Right, sure,
she's
sure,
already
sure.
got like a focus type of thing. I think that already increases her spellcasting ability.
Okay.
I was really hoping you guys would fight this dragon.
I'm really glad we
He
did.
had a magic item for every slot that he could carry. He was not just you're not gonna fight a dragon with his foresight, his like 3 d20 rolls, but also he was gonna be wearing like magic scale mail and like have a staff
It was gonna be good.
and all sorts of crazy magic
It was
items
gonna
on
be
him.
He's gonna fuck on us so hard.
He's gonna-
Yeah.
The stuff you could get from him would be game changing.
Oh no.
Like
It's
the stuff he's
literally-
wearing, you could like in the fight would be game changing. Even if like I made everything else melt as a failsafe, just having the things that he fought with would be. Okay. This.
It's fun.
We still can. Someone takes a hit. I mean, we'll probably fight back. So.
Yeah, he says here. This
I can get my shit.
I
you
still
give me those
really
things.
wanted a corpse. An undead dragon is. Oh my god.
A what now?
It's my dream.
the dragon says what, and then roll initiative. Coke of this place.
Sorry, I already gave away my nuke.
He says I have a you give him this cloak of the stone or whatever, the stone cloak, and the other cloak, and he shows you on a mannequin. There is something in the back by the shadow, and at first, with your eyes, you can see. Go ahead and take that, and you think that it's like hard to see because of the shadow, but you're like, wait a minute, I can see in the dark, and you see that it's almost like vibrating, like that it has a slight like out of phase quality, and it's a cloak with this like these big tendrils. It looks like this. And it's a cloak of displacement. It requires attunement. While you wear this cloak, it projects an illusion that makes you appear to be standing in a place near your actual location, causing any creature you to have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. If you take damage, the property ceases to function until the start of your next turn. The property is suppressed while you're incapacitated, restrained, or otherwise unable to move. So you have to be able to move, but while you are unrestrained and while it activates, it looks like you're like moving like from one space into two. It's the same 5-foot space, so it's not like you can completely trick. It just makes it like they know that one of the two of you are real, and you're real close to each other. It's like you can't like make it do other things. It looks like a hologram projection of you, but it's made from a displacer beast. Those like they're monsters that naturally do this like thing. So that's pretty cool. And that's it. But you basically can just do that all the time. As long as it's on and you haven't been hit, creatures automatically have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
And the other thing, the dodecahedron.
Yeah.
Are there any corpses in here?
There is
I
a
think
singular sarcophagus. He
in here.
says
Crazy.
there's the tomb of the unnamed king. And he says,
King in there.
to my knowledge, yes, a mummy lord.
Oh.
Yeah.
A mummy lord.
Oh, dragon sir.
I give a little eloquent, bow in obvious, trying to butter him up. And I say that I would love so badly to animate this dead mummy king.
He says, I think that all you would need to do is open the sarcophagus, which is why I've kept it closed shut. He says, yeah, there's a mummy in there. It's already alive.
Oh.
It's already raised. And
I would have to command it.
you'd have to get rid of your beholder
Oh.
in order to use that command feature.
What can it do?
It is not
What's
as
a mummy
strong.
do?
It is not as strong as the beholder in pure CR value,
Okay.
but well, I don't know.
I really like the beholder's abilities.
It might. Let me see what it's on.
I have it right here.
What's the challenge rating on it?
It is AC 15.
5. Okay, yeah. This thing is much.
Let's see.
No, Mummy Lord's much stronger than that.
Mummy Lord is stronger
Yeah,
than a
much-
beholder.
It's a beholder zombie,
Yeah, those
so
are
it's
very confused
a
with
rotting
the
beholder,
dragon
so it
slayer.
doesn't
Right.
have all its eye stalks and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you want.
I don't even say goodbye to it. I've been very sweet.
Well, you
to
gotta.
it.
Yeah.
You're getting ahead of yourself. What are you gonna
Oh,
give?
sorry.
What are you gonna give?
I don't have much of anything to give.
You want a Mummy Lord? This thing can
I
cast
know.
spells.
I
This
know.
thing can
Get a new body.
that
I have-
dies.
I have. Hold on, let me see what I got.
This guy's got a rotting fist.
I've got 10 gemstones
This guy's got legendary actions.
that are worth 1,000 gold pieces each.
You misunderstand what's happening right now. If he's like, no, never mind, you're good. And he's
So
like,
I can just have him?
he says, touch him and you die.
Yeah, I really have not been collecting shit along the way here.
You
I
want to
have
give?
nothing.
He's like, you want
I
to give me
just spell
that?
book.
You want to give me that? He's like, you can have. And he points at your spell book, full of all of Alistair's notes and stuff. He says, that's adequate payment.
Do I still need those?
I mean, they have a bunch of magical properties that you can use.
Yeah. You need
What?
it.
Sorry,
Did you guys see that?
just yawning.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't in the longest time used any of these.
I remember.
But I'll keep it.
You should trade it if you want something else. You're a necromancer. You should trade it.
It's also all of your spells.
I thought her spells were in the other. Oh, is that her spell book?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it.
I mean, I guess you could take all your spells out of it. You could carry them around with you inside of it.
No, I'll keep it.
Okay.
I don't have anything else to trade with him, so.
Well, if you want to come back, he says that thing ain't going anywhere. He says,
Very true.
I was given that by a dwarf princess like 10,000 years ago.
Ooh,
It's such a
interesting.
Hard bargain driver.
She's not coming back. She's probably dead, huh?
She's already
How long dwarves live?
I would
I
guess
don't know.
she's dead.
How long do dwarves live? 10,000 years.
About 500 years.
Oh yeah, she's dead.
Alrighty.
Okay. Well, then you guys leaving? You guys done with all your bartering deals?
Yeah, I don't really
Okay.
have too many things of importance that I could barter for something of value.
All right. So as the shield is taken away from you and is put to sleep, two things happen. You feel instantly a disconnect. You feel an emptiness. You can't feel the mountain anymore. Your feet, you almost feel like you're on a boat. Like you had this perfect sense of balance, and now you're like, oh God, how do people stand on this spinning rock? And you kind of fall over, and I don't know how you feel about this, but do not touch your power. You cannot touch your paladin power. You are a former. You're an ex-paladin at this point. So your stats remain the same. You still have all the same stat increases that you have, but you have 0 class levels now. So, ouch. I don't know what we're gonna do about this, Bryce. I've never had this happen.
Yeah, this is
So why don't
We're
we
gonna
take
take
a
a
short break, and I'll figure out what's gonna happen, and we'll come right back.
I don't even want to discuss it. I just want you to.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no,
I got something, but
No, I like it.
this is a good one. All right, guys, we'll be right back. We love
It's
you,
like I was like,
except for you, David
ooh,
Jerome.
Oh,
ooh.
Calling you out, David Jerome.
look at Jimmy. He's
A
so
roaming
stressed
Joe.
out. Of all
we're back. That's funny with the camera the way it is. It looks like Nicole's just not there.
No.
No one would know.
She's invisible.
Yeah.
She's here. She's just invisible.
Okay. So you guys, as you're kind of milling around talking to the dragon, he's just continuing to still and at this point he considers you all good friends. So this ended with you
we
guys.
made transactions.
You guys
dude.
made transactions and spent time with him, and he believes in your quest enough to want to help you, even if he doesn't believe that it's real.
Dope.
Like he doesn't have any reason to not help you, and helping once you now. So now you guys are basically you're on friendly terms with him. He has moved from neutral to friendly because of this interaction, meaning that you can request aid from him in the future, and he will be more lenient. So he might even give you better deals on trades and stuff, which is really cool. I don't know why I never added a magic item broker to Waterdeep, who's a big dragon. That's such a cool thing. So that's
That's an idea.
yeah, that's canon.
That's a thing.
That's canon
Run
all
to
the time.
Antique Shop.
Yeah, so even when we goes to Salt Marsh, what's 100 years or whatever?
We can still go see Kane.
Yeah, you can go see Kane.
Love it.
All right, cool. We just got a new guy in our roster of people who are always here.
That's great.
That's fun. Okay,
Can't wait.
Phantom will be there.
Can't
as
wait
you
to see Tatsuo.
you kind of you're on your knees and you're just kind of like
Yeah,
sitting there.
As soon as the shield came off,
Just
she
kind of
just like
yeah.
crumpled.
And you're just breathing, and you feel an emptiness, a sadness, and everybody kind of. We cut to you. The next shot of you is you on the boat, close up on your face. You're just kind of looking out in the distance. You're scanning Waterdeep, and you're seeing the mountain itself, and you're thinking, "Did I do the right thing?" And as you continue back through the town, the sun's starting to come up in the sky. And you guys, I assume, heading back probably to the Yawning Portal or to the Teleportation Circle. Probably back to the Teleportation Circle, right?
Yeah.
By the time you reach the Teleportation Circle and that Wizard's Tower, by the time you hit the last step along the way, you feel the sunlight hit you. And you feel the warmth of the sun, and you look around at the group here.
Mm-hmm.
There's
And
also, I feel like I've also been wondering if you did the right thing.
yeah, everybody's kind
Like,
of it's
great-
very
gracious,
somber.
I feel like none of you
very
would be
somber.
talking to me, and I'd be
Yeah.
like
Very
sitting at the front of the boat, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
I don't think you're
I
by
feel
yourself.
bad.
I think that you're trying to give her space
Yes.
in the
Right,
moment.
that's
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
in a
but-
different part of the boat. Or
But all the
walking.
shots are of you, and you guys are just in the background, and you're not
Out of
talking.
focus, but
out of
watching
focus,
her.
but watching. And as you get to the circle,
thanks guys.
as she's starting to do the components, that's really nice. Have a hero point.
I love you, Selah.
As you start to, she starts to do components. You kind of look back, and you're like, no. And you're like, this was always me. It was always what I wanted. You're like, I wasn't even beholden to views I knew now to be wrong, because she went from like this, like, I'm almost a bad guy figure, you know, like this
Yeah.
corrupt paladin
Yeah,
of
she's-
conquest to this paladin of redemption. And you realize now that this is exactly what you need to do. This is the next step in the sequence. You can't hold on to that forever. And actually, you feel it's safer in the hands of the dragon instead of inside of Hallister's Undermountain. Like, that place was a sacred site, but religions only have as much power as people that believe in the things that are religious in these settings, and that's an old religion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you realize that, and you look around and you're like, it is about the sisters, but it's also about Hallister, and it's also about Dell.
Yeah.
And
it's
look at
also-
Dell. You look at him, and Dell's like cracking a joke, like looking at like, doing a trick with his thing.
Yeah,
and
and
like,
it's about
his
Halleck,
bracelet.
and it was about his
yeah,
father.
Halleck,
Yeah.
not Hallister. It's about Halleck. Yeah. It's
For
not
sure.
about Hallister. It's about Halleck. Oh, everyone has the same names.
Morning Dorn.
That makes more sense,
And
I
you
get
and
it.
you're thinking, you're like, and it's about me, and it's like, and
Yeah.
you're right. Your family was laughing stock, but from here on out, you decided that you don't have to bear that weight, because you don't have to bear that name, and you can just go by Selah or whatever you decide is a cool name for yourself. This would be a perfect time to do a little rebranding.
Remoniker. Yeah.
Do you
Do it
want to?
backwards. Selah backwards.
And you are now a
House.
level 20 monk. And you got like a real Dragon Ball Z Goku thing, and everyone's like looking, and as the sunlight kind of washes over you, her muscles are toned, and like you see now that as the shield left him,
You grow.
the
She got
shield,
that college
the shield,
body.
having you done your part, the shield granted its final blessing on you,
Yeah.
which was breaking free, but
Yeah.
further empowering yourself, and you're not beholden to anyone. You only dogma you have to follow is the dogma that you've
Yours.
always followed of justice and caring about others and
Yeah.
like, generally being a good person. So you are so you have a level 20. You also maintain the Emissary of Redemption class feature as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
We should break to let you roll up, I guess.
Um,
A level 20 mom.
let me see if that's in.
That's exciting. I feel like I just watched one of Bryce's best moments of his life on his face.
You get that.
That's great.
You get that in lieu of the perfect self feature.
Cool.
And that's so you actually don't get the level 20 monk feature. So people are playing level 20 monk, you can get.
Yeah.
You can earn that.
Very
You
cool.
can earn that. But you get the Emissary of Redemption feature, and it works exactly the same. But now it's just an internal like power. It's just like one of
We're
those.
gonna be okay.
You're a mortal who's at the first step on a stepping on a path to like goddom.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Now you guys can, like,
you're
run
at the edge of
around
like
and
of
Sneak shit
demigod.
together.
Sick. I literally broke my paladin oath at level 20 and ascended.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, you did.
Thanks, man.
Into
cool.
like your whole
Cool.
best self.
Everybody have a hero point. Jimmy, have some books.
Yes. Das Bullshit.
Self-actualized.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I
That's
thought you guys were gonna
beautiful.
fight a dragon tonight.
I wanted to fight a dragon.
We
Trust me.
maintained
I
peace,
wanted to
guys.
fight.
I'm
We
so
I
proud.
prepared spells in order to
As
fight
you
a
head back,
dragon.
you do you give the phylactery back to
Oh yes, I do.
To
I
Jazz
do.
it? Okay.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, of course, you got the mage hand.
Hey,
I'll give it to him.
we get it. You said that.
I do.
And he sees it, and he looks at all of you, and he says, "You didn't kill it, did you?" And he's like, "You are a very interesting group."
Thanks
and,
to Sailor, we didn't have to.
yeah, and he takes the box from you, and he touches it with 3 fingers, and then instantly it disappears. And he like dusts his hands off, and he's like, "All right, we can do this now." It's like, we're square, basically, is what he says. And
Sorry, I just still half expected those insight rolls to be fucking shit. You know, I love.
yeah, no, in a game full of villains, because that's all you've been able to interact with, I wanted to make sure there was a nice mix of different types of people. You know, like the exterminator, for instance, he seemed super nice, but he was actually just a creepo.
Well,
Just
now
following
our goals are aligned.
Yeah, this guy's a creepo
Yeah.
too. He's just less of a creepo.
Our goals are aligned.
Your goals are aligned. So basically, he says that there's increased traffic into the Undermountain. That people are coming sometimes against their own free will, brought by the clerics of the morning, and there is some sort of like prophecy associated to some old calendar. Basically, he's like, it's a bunch of bullshit. He says that none of these things are happening, but yet people are traveling down to, I cannot remember what level of the Undermountain it is precisely, but let me find my book. It's kind of important that you know that. Waterdeep, Dragon Heist, Waterdeep, Mordekaiser. There we go. He says. Sorry.
That was the coolest thing ever.
The coolest fucking thing ever.
He says that there is Level 6. They're all traveling to level 16 of the Undermountain, which is a super precarious level to get on. It's one that you guys skipped.
Skipped a lot.
Yeah. He says that
We hopped all around.
He says that this crystal labyrinth is actually an outpost for an interplanar empire. And as he kind of on one of his scrying orbs starts to kind of show you images, you see like literally a big rock floating in space. And as he's describing this level of the dungeon, you realize that this level of dungeon is built completely in like a star field.
What?
Like in the deep of space. Yeah, exactly.
How does that work?
Magic.
He says it houses a gate to a star duct. It's a hollowed out asteroid. So that basically, the labyrinth, this level of the labyrinth is an asteroid.
Oh my
floating in
god, that's
space.
amazing.
He says that it was built by the Gith, who were using it as an outpost in their interplanetary war, but because of its unique station in the levels of things that Hallister's put in here, Hallister was so set on making level 16 a interdimensional space portal, like a break in the fabric of reality. He wanted it so badly in there that he had to like bend his own rules as to how it's wired. So if there was a weak point in the Undermountain, like a weak circuit, it's level 16 because of its nature, and it's where Maven has been conducting her base of operations. So her clerics and her crew have completely cleared out all the Gith that were there, or have taken them captive or prisoner, and it's where they're going to be holding the ceremony. And they obviously need lots and lots of sacrifices, and that's why they're recruiting this religion.
Let's go liberate some
So
Gith.
the religion is, so there's going to be crowds of people there. It's going to be filled with warlocks of different levels running around. It's going to be Maven, of course, who is a level 20 warlock herself, and the patient one's avatar, which is like an aspect of himself, that person you saw in the screen.
Yeah.
It's not actually like, he's not a deciding party. He's just, if she's
He's
she's a
force.
Pact of the Chain warlock, and the patient one that you guys have been seeing is her familiar. So she's like created a version of it to help control its vast power. So she thinks that she's actually like, it's not completely unsound. Like it's pretty dope. She's pretty evil. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So,
She's pretty evil.
She's pretty evil.
pretty evil, pretty impressive.
Yeah. She
So,
looks like
pretty evil, impressive.
Missy in Doctor Who. What did you say? Michelle Gomez is her name.
Yeah.
For all of our viewers out there.
He says. He also says that because of the interesting situation within the crystal labyrinth already, that it's going to be there are dragons that live inside of this thing. He says that it's going to be very hard for you to deal with, but he says that Hallister himself is inside the crystal labyrinth with for the proceedings of this ceremony. He will be weakest there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to have to go through fight your way through his lair, which is decidedly a harder path to doing all this.
Puzzle style.
Yeah, puzzle style.
We
Also,
do it in the labyrinth.
also you could catch him off track. What he's proposing is that you could give him, you give him the signal, and he will cut off. He'll be able to shut off travel to and from the crystal labyrinth while you're inside of it. So if Hallister is in front of you,
We trap him.
you can trap him, and if you can, he says, if Hallister is killed within his domain, he says one of two things happen. He says the self-destruct might happen. He says, and that's only in like case of permadeath, like true death. And if he doesn't kill him. He says that he has clone bodies stashed in jars, like big like clay pots, all over the Undermountain, like just tucked away. He'll crawl out of a wall somewhere and be fine, and within a 10-day. So he says, so it behooves you to try to like deal with him outside of this. And he says, at this point, I'd rather the Undermountain go unkept than have to deal with his doddering, like, he's just really annoyed by him. Like, it's just like this guy went from being a goofy annoyance to being like his arch enemy, and he hates that. This guy's above this shit. He should be like, he's like, I should be like cracking black holes in half and like, you know.
He's like, what? I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah, I should be like subjugating entire hordes of demons, and and that's pretty much all he knows about that level. He's never been there himself. And I am dramatically changing, obviously, the contents of this level. But what I'm offering you guys is the ability to shortcut the campaign.
Yeah, this is in-game shit.
This will get us up to in-game, which is good. We'll go ahead and we'll just say, since you guys are going to be out of town next week, and you have
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
I may be out of town.
I have a gig
too,
next
anyway.
week.
Well, next week we're definitely not going to be able to play because there will not be enough people here. So next week we won't be playing.
Movie night.
We maybe, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'll stream. I don't know.
I'll watch
Or no,
it
you
on
have a
the
show. Yeah, so I'll just go to your show.
Yep.
And then
Equilibrium.
you'll be gone
Botanical Gardens. Saturday.
Saturday night.
Twilight
Botanical
Series.
Gardens. What time? There you go.
Google it.
That's a good
can
plug
do
right
that.
there.
Google me.
And you guys will be gone for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
when you guys come back, we can start this potential end game. So this is going to be the harder of the two. This is going to be the more role play hard of the two versions of this, right? So like if you guys can get him on the Crystal Labyrinth and you can make cool choices, then we can maybe get in a situation where you can actually fist fight the guy without all of his magic. If he gets back to the Undermountain, then it's just, you know, there has to be like kind of a, I'm going to think of a gimmick. I got 2 weeks to work on this, so I'm going to think of a gimmick that will keep this scenario from being one that you can kind of metagame in an easier way. Not that I have any problem with the metagaming, but you know, a time bomb or something like that. Not a time bomb, but like a timer or something that really increases the dramatic status quo. Also, every session past level 20, since we're getting close to the end of the game, I'm gonna give you guys a boon.
There we go. I was hoping he would say that. Because rather than level up, we
And since we won't be playing these characters too much longer, instead of stretching them out like regular levels, we're just gonna do it per episode.
Sick.
Do what?
Instead of it like being earned per level, I'm just gonna give them out at the end of each episode. So you guys are just ridiculous.
Because how often are we going to get to play badass characters?
Yeah, how often are we gonna do boons over to level 20? That's like, oh, fuck, I don't
For
care.
characters that we've been playing.
care, man.
for,
We don't,
like a
you
year
never
of
get
our
to, you
lives.
never get to pass out boons.
Never gonna happen.
How long have we
If
been
you don't
playing
pass
these
out boons
characters?
now, you're never
You're
going to
never gonna get to pass out
That's
boons
the
again.
only time.
This
Really?
campaign's
that
only
will
been
be
going maybe like 3-4 months.
Really?
Since January.
January,
So
February, March,
6
April.
months, 7 months.
Not too long.
I know it seems like longer than that because I created Dell in October.
Since February.
Yeah, because we're 16 weeks pregnant. We're level 20, so we got pregnant in March. It'd be like February.
Yes.
And then Dragon
She
Ice
knows
was
how
part
far
of
along
that
she
too.
is in her pregnancy.
Yeah, you're right.
Based
Dragon
on the
Heist was
level
like 5
of
weeks.
her D&D character.
Right? Dragon Heist was like
Best
Oh,
one.
man.
on the
5-6
planet.
weeks, wasn't it?
Well, Bryce, you paid the brass tax tonight.
Good.
What kind of?
It will forever go down in history.
I don't know,
as the
man.
brass tacks.
You're way of the
Look at
open hand.
Rainy.
Way of the open hand. Okay.
Oh, very cool. You get some magics.
What do you need, Rainy? What can I do?
My
for you,
dex is
Rainy?
low.
Yes, it is.
You can
What can I
switch
do
your
for you?
your. No, I'd say let's keep it easy. You use wisdom for your attacks, for your spell attacks.
Yeah.
You can use wisdom for your martial
He
attacks
said yes.
when you're unarmed martial attacks.
Sick.
So it's like a spell. It's just your old spell attack. But
Oh, no, I used charisma before, but my charisma wouldn't make sense. So wisdom's fine though. I have a +3 in wisdom, so
Oh, you were charisma because you're a paladin.
yeah, wisdom's cool though.
No. Just raise your stat. I don't know. What was your high
Just
stat?
flop the stats.
Okay, I've got a 20 in charisma and a 20 in strength.
Uh huh. Oh, well, you can just use your strength.
Okay.
Monks can be strength based.
Yeah, but the only reason I worry is because of their AC is linked to their dex.
Yeah.
Well, you can use intelligence. If that's better.
Because that's the way that they dodge it. They have to be dexterous, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What's your dex?
12.
12. Just fucking
You
bump it
want
up to
your
fucking 16.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's gonna be generous, but don't be too generous, bro.
No,
You're gonna fight this guy
no.
later.
No, I'm just, I'm so grateful. That was such a
God,
fun
what a
moment.
moment.
That was such a cool moment.
My lip was quivering. I was like, God.
Damn it.
Sorry. Where are these fucking things? I should
They're at the
just.
backpack.
They're in the
after
back.
like the magic items, right?
Something
Yeah, but, like,
monumental.
Maybe not
was
backpack.
about
Maybe
backpack.
just
Let me just look at the index. Like a fucking
I think it's
nerd.
page 171.
you.
It's page 171.
If you're right, I'm gonna
I don't know.
fight you.
I'm gonna
What'd you say?
check.
Tickle fight you. If you're right, you turkey.
I don't think
That's
it
how
is
you talk to
actually,
people you love.
Oh, look, you can't use the index. That's great.
Yep. Sorry, you're below. You're below level.
Or maybe it's magic items. Right. God damn it! Who doesn't put that in the index?
no. It's right after magic items, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like one page.
I feel like I looked at it like 8 times, but I've been talking.
Wave the open hand.
Winged boots,
Very cool.
sentient magic items, artifacts,
Bang.
book of vile darkness, other rewards, supernatural gifts, boons,
Boons.
blessings,
Charms.
charms, epic boons. Oh, they are.
Epic boons.
It's 232.
You were
I was
way
way
off.
off.
You're way off.
Samsonite. Way off.
You all are going to get.
What? Get what?
They're doing this to me. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. Elemental weirdos.
These are fun.
Yes, I've read
Yeah,
them.
man,
fun.
they're so fun. They're so cool.
Because
Take it, buddy, take it.
because of the
No rush.
the sacrifice of Odak and the pervasiveness of his undetectability, you get the boon of undetectability. You're going to gain a +10 to Dex checks,
Whoa!
and you can't
Oh,
be detected or targeted by divination magic, including scrying sensors. So that old thing is still true. You guys still cannot be detected.
Sweet.
So,
So you're still kind of
Hallister
the
won't know
same.
you're coming. So this is part of that same blessing, except it just affects all of you.
Cool.
You get
That's
that too.
amazing.
He won't see us coming.
Plus 10 to dex save.
What?
He won't
Plus
see us
10 dex
coming.
checks.
Stealth
Dex
checks. Stealth
Dex
checks, my
Sorry.
friend.
So we can have
Stealth
a
checks.
complete. Ooh, we could have a whole ruse.
So what's your stealth check now?
Well,
It
I
doesn't-
can, as a level 20 rogue, I cannot roll lower than a 10 on my d20 dice.
That's awesome.
And my modifier is a 27.
Woo!
So
How?
you always have a 37.
So I'm literally always hitting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How?
Which is what I wanted
You
when
just
I
got a
created
plus
him. That's
10
all
to
I
his-
talked about.
We got there, buddy.
All I talked about.
I remember whenever you was like, so 20 dex.
Do I have to do a head check?
We made it. It looks a lot different,
That's
but we made it.
amazing.
That's
Oh,
silly.
baby.
That's
That
silly, and
is
I love it.
amazing.
No one ever
Oh my
sees
god,
me.
I'm a
love
level
that.
20 monk with 20 in charisma.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
Interesting.
I'm so
That's
happy.
like usually a thing you can't do.
Very cool. All right, guys. Good session.
Ooh, wee.
Ooh wee.
Cool,
Good
cool.
session. Lots of fun stuff. Okay, well, it's still early. Is there anything you wanted to do in Waterdeep before you head back to camp? No. Anything else you wanted to say to Ezit? Anything else you wanted to do? Do you want to talk to him about your
Yeah, I
lich
do.
stuff?
I'll
No?
take a minute to just mention to him that I have always felt that my destiny had something to do with my level of power and my level of influence over people and magic itself. And that I want to learn the ways of lichdom. I basically pitched to him that I'm worthy
Roll
of learning
persuasion.
the ways of
Witchy lichdom.
I'm trying to go to Lichcom Valley.
I'm gonna use that
Nice.
feature that gives me advantage on a
Got
check
it.
once a day.
Lichcom
I
Valley.
scooped it up.
It was down there.
Okay. Persuasion.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, and he's open to the idea
Sure.
of you talking about it, and over the next couple of weeks, you guys kind of have a slight time frame to kind of play with before the congregation. You know, because they keep passing out handouts. So you literally know when the party is.
Solo
Oh,
vacation.
we will get to the war table.
Yeah.
Let me.
Cannot wait. I have so many magic spells. There's so many spells.
I wrote those things that I did for Duloc 1,000 years ago.
Oh yeah. That was so fire.
Duloc. Remember that name.
You need a unicorn horn.
Ooh,
You need some
wait.
vampire blood.
I still have nightmares about that shit.
You need an elder vampire blood. It's not just like any vampire. It's like gotta be like daddy vampire. You gotta bleed him.
This vampire thralls all.
Mhm.
There's no.
Yep. That was great. I'm up there like magic missiling. I'm like, hit it! Ah! It was like fucking everything's on fire. There was like a lightning storm. It was some epic shit. Great.
One second. I tell you what.
One of the best sessions.
Getting on the one note. Getting on the one note. Getting on the one note. Oh.
I'm having some major oneness with Drizzt right now, y'all. About to just solo climb from where we are in the Undermountain to the top and go hang out with our dragon friend and back down.
Awesome.
Just because
I'll
He
roll
will love
whatever I have to
that.
roll. I'll do whatever the fuck I gotta do.
No.
Doing
I don't
it.
have this yet.
Kane will love that.
You
He'll
know
be
what
your best
You
friend.
know what
Will
a
love
14th
that.
level monk thing does? Diamond soul gives me proficiency in all saving throws.
Ooh! I don't have to read along. That is very interesting.
Additionally, whenever I make a saving throw and fail, I can spend a key point and re-roll it and take the second
Oh
result.
yeah, key points are. How many key points do you
Oh,
have?
cool. I found the thing.
20.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I was like, oh, whoa, wait
You're a little
a
wild.
second.
You're a little ex-monk, aren't you?
Yeah.
Get your pen ready. I got stuff for you.
Ooh.
Tara.
Tara, this
Me?
is all you,
Yeah, yeah.
girlfriend. He's liching you
Yeah.
up.
So he says
La,
the
la, la, lich
process.
me from
The
my head
process
to
isn't
my toe.
isn't.
From the
Is
bed
it-
down to the boat.
Hold on. Let's get
Sorry,
to
I've
it.
been planning on this.
He's
this
not
whole
making.
time.
He's not making her a lich.
Oh.
He's
But
gonna.
I'm
No,
doing
it's just.
He's
it's
gonna
just-
give you.
It was good. It was good.
This is
You
the
just
moment.
get Bryce so excited.
And all
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
sudden,
Sorry.
Just
lich.
riling him up.
And I'm
Sorry,
like,
buddy.
his poor little heart, Jimmy.
I did preemptively whip out the lich song.
It was
My
pretty
heart's
good.
pretty big.
It was right
It
on.
says
Pretty
it
good.
right.
So
See? Yeah, you got it.
I am a worthy pupil.
he says certainly, because you only have to be able to cast 6th level spells or higher.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No big deal. No big deal.
No big deal.
Oh man.
He says, knowledge of the ritual is broken up into 3 parts: the phylactery, the potion, and the invocations of power. So the phylactery is the object that will hold your soul. The potion is the magic that you drink that kills you and disconnects your soul from your body.
Okay.
And then the invocations of power allow you to transfer said soul into the object.
Gotcha.
All 3 parts must be known in order to begin ascension. This is just a thing I found online a while back, and it's really great. You can Google it yourself. It's like 6 Google. Let's see. He has all the parts of the ritual that you need that would be like, as far as like the notes, like the paperwork you need to do this, the incantations and stuff. He will give you copies of that. That is not an issue. He can show you, and you start doing with
I'd
your
love
quill.
to begin
He has-
study.
He has no problem sharing this with you. He thinks that this is actually a smart idea. He says that we have time.
Underway of the open hand.
But he says that obtaining all 3 parts of the ritual, blah blah blah. So knowing at least one part of the ritual requires that you
Oh, okay.
know.
You can't be poisoned, right?
Can't be poisoned. Way of the open hand.
Da-da-da-da-da.
I can spend an action and regain hit points up to 3 times my monk level.
Cool.
So as an action, I can.
So creating the
gain
phylactery.
60 hit points.
Phylacteries holds the Lich's soul, allowing it to age and reform without the looming threat of death. If your physical is body, the phylactery reforms.
And
The
I'm
phylactery
resistant to all
reforms your body
damage
within 5
until I
feet
hit something.
after 1d10 days. A phylactery must be a non-magical item, with the choice being your preference. But normally it's an object of super high quality, something that won't be easily destroyed or tarnished, or something of lower quality that's bound with, it can be bound with bindings made of precious metals. So if it's like you could use something that's like a wooden nickel.
A wooden
A
nickel.
wooden nickel. Whatever you want it to be, but it has to have at least 5,000 worth of gold of materials laid upon it.
Okay.
So that's gonna be the easy thing for you to make because you guys have that money. That's not gonna you can pop up to Waterdeep and have people make whatever you want. It will have. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that the first part of this is a montage in which you just get your phylactery.
Make a phylactery.
You can make your phylactery. So it has an AC of 10. It has 30 hit points and resistance to all damage. So it takes half damage from all sources. And once you complete it, the ritual that completes it, you're mentally linked to the phylactery. And you can see it as if you're using a scrying spell at will. You just have to close your eyes and you can see the immediate area around your scroll, which is why it was so hard for Homeboy to find his, because it was underneath a pile of treasure, because the dragon knows how it works. So he's if your phylactery is destroyed, your soul returns to your body temporarily. You must create a new one using the same method. If you do not possess the phylactery and your physical body is destroyed, both your body and your soul are lost forever. So if both A and B have to be destroyed, not just A or B, which is another interesting thing. So even if you guys had destroyed the phylactery, as it would still, and with his body reformed, it would have just gone back to him and he could have made a new one. So he wasn't really that off to begin with. Both your body and blah blah blah. Only divine intervention can restore your form. So at this point, not even a wish spell can do it. Only the cleric divine intervention feature can actually like bring your soul back to life. You are cutting yourself off from the other planes, from the path, from the transition to the other planes, and that is exactly how it is framed to you. And he says this allows you to stay firmly planted here in the material realm, which is the center of all things. He says this is the convergence point of all knowledge. He says you can travel to those realms through other means and retain your body. He said he's all about you doing this.
Love it.
Why not? You're level 20. To prepare an object to receive your soul, you must succeed a DC 20 Arcana check. So what is the item that you pick? It can look like anything you want it to be. It can be anything you want it to be.
I want it to look kind of like Rasputin's in the Anastasia.
Like a glass vial.
It's a glass vial, and it
sure.
doesn't have like. I think they're like bats that are kind of all over it. There's not creatures on it, but it's like a glass vial with the like glowing liquid in it, and it's got like this stone casing, kind of like there's a thick top and bottom, and then there's like a stone like ring that kind of goes around it, kind
Cool.
of connects them.
Yeah, maybe
And
some
it's on a
like
big chain.
inlaid geodes and like
Yeah.
and some like there's probably some adamantine built into it,
Mhm.
so it's super strong.
But it's like a big glass.
How much
vial
gold do you have?
on a big glass chain or on a
Yeah,
chain?
I got that. That's pretty cool.
Let's see. I've got. It's not on any of those pages. Sorry.
She ends up not being able to do it because she didn't write down her gold. She left her gold
I
in a
did.
town somewhere.
I have
Oh, I forgot to empty my haversack before I handed it to that guy. I'm gonna go see him.
10.
Trap or two, bud? Come on, I want a trap.
10,000.
Okay.
Get
Gold.
out of here.
Well, erase 5,000 of that because that's how much that thing costs.
Cool.
But yeah, so you got that, no problem.
Sweet.
Now roll me a Arcana check, and let's see if you are able to prepare an object. So you're not actually moving your soul into the object, but you're creating a link with it now, the psychic link, and when you separate your soul and use the invocations, you'll be able to pour your soul into the object
Okay.
if you succeed this Arcana check. So roll me
Okay.
an Arcana check. Gotta use Hallister's notes stuff.
Yes, I am. I'm going to go
Smart.
back to Hallister's notes and do a quick incantation called Knowledge is Power.
Cool.
Gain advantage
Gives you
on
advantage.
this.
Perfect.
What was this again?
It's just an Arcana check.
Okay. And I'm going to use an inspiration and roll that guy again.
Okay.
But I don't get to use that advantage, do I?
Yeah, because you're re-rolling the same check. This is if the other check never happened. That's how we kind of play it. It's like an instant round.
Cool. 29 Arcana.
Yeah, for sure. You, the item remains intact. If anything, it starts to slightly glow and is hardened and aged, as if it's becoming like all of its different pieces are fusing even closer into like one true object. It is linked to you. You can detect it as long as you're on the same plane of existence, and it's going to stay open for you for 1 week, in which it will close off if you haven't done all
Okay.
the things for it yet. In which case, you'll have to spend another 5,000, get another phylactery, and
Do the whole thing
do
again.
the whole thing again. All right, now you
Awesome.
have to brew your potion. Vile mixture of poisons and bloods of various creatures. By drinking this deadly potion, you must embrace the ingredients' natures of life and death for the last time before ascending into undeath as a lich. The potion's ingredients must be consumed within 1 week period of your phylactery being in the soul receiving state. Depending on the ingredient being used, potion may or may not be used. Blah 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 blah. So here are the material components. These are things you're going to need. You need 5 of the following items. You need a vial of Manticore's blood,
Okay.
a vial of pure arsenic, crush belladonna, which is a herb,
Oh, I know.
Okay.
a crushed unicorn's horn, a pint of griffin's blood, a pint of dragon's blood,
Should have fucking killed that guy.
Probably give us
a pint of vampire's blood, a pint of specifically prepared ale that has had the spellbook or the brain of another spellcaster soaking in it for 24 hours. So a brew you make that would have magical knowledge literally soaking in it. The heart of a sacrificed humanoid.
I remember I remember now.
We're gonna make it slightly easier. I'm gonna say 3 of those things.
Can I am?
They're fine. Because ideally, you and I will just do a little one-off sessions. Either we'll film them or not. But
Sweet.
Have Jimmy come do it with you. That's
that'd be
great.
fun. Yeah, we could get
That'd
you
be
another
fun.
character going if you want to.
That's a good time.
Or anybody can. We'll just
Mhm.
we can do this on off nights for the next couple weeks. And then third, the Ascension Ritual. You will need to get your potion, and after you make your potion, you'll need to drink it within 1 hour of completing it, mixing the ingredients together. You don't need to do any kind of check or anything. You just will make that up. There's no chance of that failing. And the ritual must occur in an area replete with magical energy, such as a sacred area or a magical tower. It needs to be in a place of super magic, so the Runestone Cavern will be a perfect place to do it. That's about as a Lich's domain's about as good as you can get, especially one made out of Hallister's magic weapon. Is about as I don't think you need anything else.
This is destined
And
to
it will
happen.
requires a binding sigils written in your blood, and you'll have to do an Arcana check on those. We'll come back to this when it's time to do that. If you do it on a night of a full moon, reduces the check. The phylactery does not have to be in the area, but it must be in the soul receiving state. So you can already put it in its hiding place if you wanted to, and it would receive your soul. It just needs to be on the same plane of existence as you. So, like, if you wanted to let the dragon hold it, that would not be a bad.
That would not be a bad idea.
I'll send it with you at some point.
Once the area is
One
prepared,
of your
the magical
visits.
energy, blah 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 blah. We'll go over that when it happens.
Yeah.
And then we roll on a table. So, like, even after you do all of this stuff, we have to roll on a table. and
What?
There's a chance that it may not work or it may kill you. So,
That's always a scenario.
I think
Yeah.
the only reason that I got to skip that part
mm-hmm.
is because your character was there and like a willing acolyte. Like I cast
Oh,
a
yeah,
spell
yeah.
on him and like took his
you were able
life
to like
energy.
hook him through it. Yeah.
That
So
was
there
cool.
are workarounds to that, and we'll deal with that the time comes. But man, you get some cool stuff. You'll be considered undead.
Oh man.
You won't age. You won't need food or water or sleep. Although you can eat and sleep if you want to.
I will when I want to.
All your features will remain the same. You get proficiency in Constitution saves. Your physical appearance becomes eerie and creepy.
Become extra haggy.
You emanate a visible aura of power that you can suppress and manifest at will. The aura is a constant. It acts as a constant detect magic spell.
Sweet.
And or not, whether they function whether or not they visual. So you can make it like a force that just walks around you and is like, I'm a cool lich. Look at my magic power, and it also casts detect magic while it's out.
Cool.
You get resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing from non-magic weapons. You'll become immune to exhaustion and the poison conditions, as well as cold, necrotic, and poison damage. You get true sight. You get rejuvenation. You gain turn resistance. Man,
It's fucking insane, dude. It's fucking insane.
Story wise, I feel like
you don't get any legendary actions. This is what this guy wrote.
Meryl.
No, you don't get any legendary actions or legendary resistance. You're a full goddamn caster. You're not
Yeah.
gonna help break the game. You just naturally do it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Meryl feels like she could be more powerful than Hallister and could be a better Hallister than Hallister is. However, the whole reason she is at odds with Maven is for giving up her own agency to begin with. Like the idea that you have to give your power to something in order to give it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And she does not want to be a slave to the Undermountain forever.
Yeah.
And have to stay there in that place and just kind of lose myself to it.
I totally get
So,
that.
Lichdom seems like a much
Yeah, and you guys can
much,
figure out the Undermountain. I mean, there.
more.
What happens
it's
after
impossible
Alice?
for her to ascend.
Yeah, for sure. And what happens to the Undermountain after Hallister's gone is not as much of a big deal. There
Right.
isn't as much there's no world ending. The Undermountain is its own kind of negative thing,
Mhm.
but it's not going to. It's going to slowly grow regardless of who's in charge of it.
Semi-sentient.
It's a much bigger deal combined with your sister's meddling. Let's see. Also, you'll have to maintain it, which is pretty cool. The length of time a soul reinforces a phylactery is equal to 6 months. Multiply the sacrifice CR or its level. That's cool.
So depending on what I sacrifice.
Successfully trapping a soul in your phylactery, the soul must be
You're gonna
trapped
get
for 24
real
hours.
good,
The
okay.
soul deteriorates and reinforces your
Fucking
phylactery.
stab him in the back.
This spell cast at 9th level
We're
can
gonna
free
kill
a
that
creature's soul. Oh, cool. What did you say?
She's just being shitty about the dragon.
We're gonna kill that dragon. we
Stab
have so
him in
many
the back.
reasons to kill that dragon.
Goodness gracious.
If your
Luke,
soul
listen.
is not, if a soul is not
His
deposited
soul,
into
his
the
blood.
phylactery before the time is up, your phylactery shatters into dust, forcing you to reconstruct a new one. So
No.
remember, your soul will return back to you. And if you're killed, even in lich form, you still are a lich when your soul's inside your body. But if your soul's not in a phylactery and you get killed, both of you are being killed at the same time,
Right.
which means permadeath.
Gotcha.
Also, if you don't feed your phylactery, you'll lose your mind. I don't know if that's a thing here, but
It is here.
I'm going to
That
say that,
makes-
yeah, at the very least,
Mm-hmm.
you every time this happens, you probably lose 1 point of intelligence score as well.
Oh my god.
You have to feed it. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for tuning in.
That was great.
We will see you in
Toodles.
3
3
weeks. 3 weeks. Wait, we probably. Oh God.
I know. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll figure it
Maybe
out.
a month.
We'll
We'll
figure it
talk
out.
about
As
it
we're working
later,
out. It's
guys.
summertime. It's summertime.
That's what you do.
Summer,
It may be a big,
summertime.
big movie finale at the end of it.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Very interesting.
It's- Not mid-season finale, but late
Ooh, I'm gonna
season.
dress up.
mid-finale something.
We'll figure it out,
I'm gonna
guys.
get in
We'll
there.
figure it
We'll
out.
figure it
All right,
out.
guys.
Maybe we'll do some
Suck
one
it.
shots.
Suck it,
Bye.
bye.
It'll be a